Zip Bud for you. By Cable News Network, the world's most important network. And by CNN Headlines, around the world every 30 minutes.
If it were a horse race, the smart money would ride on the mudders. For a week, Atlanta International Raceway has been soaked by rain. But this is no horse race. Hello, everyone. I'm Dave Despain. CBS Sports is live at the scene of a stretch run for the Grand National Stock Car Championship. After 26 races, Darrell Waltrip and Bill Elliott have come off the clubhouse turn. Elliott trailing by just about a nose. Today, the Atlanta Journal 500. Next to last race in the chase for a $250,000 stock car prize. Now, because of all that rain, the track has been wet, but now it is almost dry. We've just been advised the first 4 to 5 laps today will be run under a caution flag, and the exhaust heat will finish the drying process, and we'll be ready to go racing. Helping to cover the action today in the STP Pit Communications Center, 8-time Grand National Championship winning crew chief, Dale Inman. You've got a four-wheeled favorite today.
Well, I think this track slightly favors the Ford, and of course, Bill's in a Ford.
Ooh, there's a vote for the big crowd favorite. On his home track today, Bill Elliott is strapped into the Coors Thunderbird, and with him, one of two men who will cover the action on pit road, 50-year veteran motorsports reporter from National Speed Sport News and Motor Week Illustrated, Chris Economaki.
Bill, everybody's looking at number 9 and Bill Elliott. The question is, what's on your mind right now? The race or the championship?
Well, I'd say right now, Chris, it's the race, because we've got 2 more races to decide the championship. And really, you've got to do good today to worry about the championship.
Well, give your hometown fans something to root for.
Sure hope so. Thank you, Chris.
Okay, now let's go across the track to our colleague Jerry Garrett with the other championship contender.
Well, the guy that Bill Elliott is chasing, of course, Darrell Waltrip, the points leader. Darrell, your strategy today, conservative?
Well, you know, it's surprising when we get down this time of the year, we are conservative to a certain degree, particularly in our strategy as far as the race is concerned. We do have a little bit of a wait-and-see attitude, but it's amazing how that seems to work to our advantage. Seems like the races still come back to us, and we end up winning even when we're taking it easy.
Well, Bill Elliott and Darrell Waltrip have been the pre-race story here today, but 40 other men want to write their own headline for this race, following every one of them. From high up in the catbird seat, we've got a good team today. 16-year veteran Grand National driver, 350 starts. His best finish here was 7th, but I think Dick Brooks will turn in a better performance than that today. And our resident motorsports encyclopedia calling the play-by-play, Ken Squire.
Thank you, Dave. 328 laps the distance, $366,000 the purse. 42 guys ready to go for it this afternoon. An event that has never been a particular favorite of the pole sitter. Only once in the 26-year history of this event has a man won from the pole. That was Fireball Roberts the very first year. And since then, Richard, it's been about an 18th finish average for the guy that's set up in front. So Harry Gant's got some concerns of his own. What all the drivers do on this track?
Well, they sure do. The track is a mile and a half around. It's got a mile of corners. Each one of them is a half mile long, and it's only got a quarter mile down each straightaway. So tire temperatures, there's just a lot of problems that a guy has to live with here that you don't have to a lot of other places. I'm looking forward to a good, fast, safe race, I hope.
Back to you, Dave.
Well, the engines have been fired on pit road, and I'm not certain whether we're going to be able to hear from our pole sitter today. Harry Gant starts up front. Right alongside will be Jeff Bodine. But they have given the command to light off those engines and move these race cars out onto the track. Remember now, they will be finishing the drying process that Mother Nature has helped along with a little breeze here today. It looks like we are just about ready for a start, but it will be a yellow flag start. Let's go to Chris Economaki on pit road.
Okay, I'm down here with Harry Gant. Harry, you know, everybody says that Waltrip and Elliott can win the championship, but the numbers say you can win it. Is that on your mind?
It's not on my mind today. Just let me win this race.
Okay, Harry Gant waiting for the signal to move out, concerned, as are most other drivers, with the race. Now, here's Jerry Garrett.
Well, Jeff Bodine. Jeff, does the track owe you one? You came close last year.
Well, I don't know if it owes me one. I would like to do well here. We've run well here, but I think you have to go out and earn whatever you get. The track won't give it to you.
We'll be back to start the starting grid right after this.
Here is the starting lineup for today's Atlanta Journal 500. The front row as the field begins to roll out. Harry Gant will be on the pole. It's the 4th time this year, and beside him with 3 Grand National wins, it's Jeff Bodine for the 2nd starting position. Going to row number 2 today, there sits Bill Elliott in his Ford, the man looking for the championship, and Terry Labonte, the former Grand National champion, 1984, the outside of his Chevrolet. Row 3, the 4-time winner of this event, Richard Petty, and alongside is Darrell Waltrip trying for his 3rd national title. Today could be the key to that championship effort on his part. Going to row number 4, Ricky Rudd is there with the Budmore car. He's had 3 Grand National wins, and the former national champion, Benny Parsons. In row 5, it's Cale Yarborough, a former winner of this event. Yarborough took it in 1980, and Bobby Hillen from Texas has qualified so very, very well. Row 6, here's Ron Bouchard ready to work. He's had a great finish of recent, and beside him is Joe Rutland, who starts with a new team next year. Number 4, Rutland on the outside. Row 7, Dale Earnhardt, defending champion in the Atlanta Journal 500, and Morgan Shepherd is qualified in row 7. In row number 8 today, Greg Sachs, the man that won the Firecracker 400, and Buddy Arrington's right back in the hunt another time. In row number 9, it's Buddy Baker, also a former winner here and 3-time pole sitter, and Connie Saylor is going to work in car number 99. Row number 10, Mike Waltrip, the younger brother of Darrell Waltrip, in the Dick Bear car, and Lake Speed, the 2nd-place finisher at Daytona. In row number 11, there's Tim Richmond, and there's a story there we'll tell you more about later. And A.J. Foyt makes his first appearance in this race, although he won the sister race at Atlanta many years ago. In row number 12 today, Kyle Petty is working the Wood Brothers car, and there's Bobby Allison, a 2-time champion in 1972 and 1982. Going to row 13, Alan Kulwicki, the great ASA champion, is back here today. And there's the leading rookie in NASCAR, Schrader, out of Missouri. Row 14, it's Neil Bonnet, who's won it in 79, 81, 83. It's his turn again, according to the odds. And Rick Baldwin's Pontiac is in that row. Going to row 15, Phil Parsons is there at his Chevrolet. And 400 times a winner in sprint car racing, now taking a try at Grand National, Sammy Swindell. Going to row 16 today, as we move further back in the field, Rick Wilson Chevrolet out of Bartow, Florida, and alongside is Donnie Allison giving it a stab. Row 17, there's Jimmy Means, Smut Means out of Alabama, and the rookie of last year, that's Rusty Wallace, who carries our onboard camera. The Alucard car carrying one of our onboard cameras today, Rusty Wallace. Then in row 18, it's Tommy Ellis, the Tiger back there, and alongside is Philip in the number 31 Ford. Going to row 19, Ken Reagan, who crashed at Talladega, came back yesterday for his first run and crashed again. Remember, he broke his neck 5 months back. He's trying his first Grand National race since. Dave Marcus, who won this race in 76, is in row 19. Row number 20. Now there's Eddie Bierswale and J.D. McDuffie. And finally, the provisional starters today, Clark Dwyer and Trevor Boyce from Canada, round out the field. Now, they are running some preliminary laps. They're going to take 5 laps before they turn them loose under green in hopes of drying this track. And the way that track looks, I think they may take another couple of laps.
Well, the corners are looking really, really good. Down the straightaways, down the front straightaway and the back straightaway, there's still some water seeping, but the corners look good. The exhaust off these cars, there's a lot of exhaust and it's hot, and it'll help a lot.
Now, the plan is the next time by, they will start scoring. These preliminary laps, of which they've taken, I believe, 3, have been under no flag. Now they will start official scoring for a period of 5 laps and really hope to get this track dried out. They are anticipating more showers this afternoon, but thus far they've held off. It rained all night. It rained through the morning. It rained yesterday when they ran the Automobile Racing Club of America's 300-mile race here. And what a race we had. Lee Raymond, David If-produced car, outthunk him, and he beat everyone to the finish line in a sensational finish. More on that later today. A hard, bad crash that involved Reagan and Bob Penrod. Incidentally, Penrod is all right. Many heard that he was hospitalized last night. The late word is that Penrod is out of the hospital. That story coming up from our Goodwrench Race Report later on today. There's many races within a race for this event. There's the Barclays American Award at half distance of this race, and they're really running for that these days. And, of course, there's the Nationwide Award, the up-and-coming award for those challengers who've never won a Grand National race. $1,000 comes from Nationwide and merchandise from those folks, and we'll be following some of those new faces in Grand National racing throughout the day. And then there's the award that so far Mike Helton has hands down. That's the Goodies Headache Award. Every parking lot here at Atlanta Clay is just souping up cars.
Well, that's very true. The parking lots are wet. The infield is wet. But we've got a beautiful day for a race. It's just the temperature is just right for the drivers. It's good for the cars. The cars shouldn't have any heating problems today. The tires are going to be reasonably cool. The track's cool. And it's a good day for the fans. It's not cold. It's just a good day for watch a race, I think.
Richard Brooks yesterday, before one lap had really been totally run on the racetrack, we had two terrible crashes in turn number 4 in that race that Lee Raymond finally won. Now, with this field of 42 starters and a little more experience, I think experience was one of the major stories yesterday, but with the weather and this much rain the past 2 or 3 days as Hurricane Juan continues to wave its wand over this track, do you think we may have a problem out here this afternoon when they turn them green?
Well, I don't think so. I don't think it'll be from the same reasons anyway. The ARCA cars didn't get any practice, and they were very, very unexperienced drivers at running anything over half-mile racetracks, and they would go into the third turn a whole lot faster than they've generally been anywhere. And that's where the problems are caused. The guys in the back trying to make a move too quick, just like they do on a short track, and they just created problems.
Oh, once again, we are counting these laps at this time. The field is on the track, and these are counting laps under caution as they try to dry this track out. It's a little like Daytona 1970, the year that Buddy Baker went so quick down there. They took, I think, 15 or 20 preliminary laps before they got the track in a condition where they thought it was safe for you to run.
This is not an uncommon thing at all. They've done this in the years that I've raced. We've done this a lot of times. So they're just trying to get the race in. It's good for the fans and the promoters and everybody.
Darrell says the track is okay. That's the report. He was talking on his radio, and they're now saying 4 laps to green. 4 to green.
I think they'll be ready. I don't think. The only thing I see is a few little drippy, wet spots over in the third turn. But other than that, the track looks good.
Why is it some tracks always seem to favor the front row and other tracks an average finish of 18th position for the pole sitter? What happens here?
Well, this track has a tendency to get a car loose. If you're already loose, that means the rear of the car wanting to come around. If your car's tight or pushing the front of the car not wanting to turn, it has a tendency to get worse during the day. And a car to run fast, to qualify fast, has to be a little bit loose. If they don't get it tightened up during the day, a lot of those guys have crashed.
Now you see the field back. This is turns 1 and 2 on this mile-and-a-half track. And as Richard Brooks told you earlier, the whole story of this track is it's all corner. Very short straightaways, about a quarter mile, and the rest of the time you've got to crank that thing.
After about 300 laps, you get to thinking it's a circle, man. You don't have any straightaway at all to rest on, and you're always in a corner.
Back straightaway. Top speed here.
175, 180.
Down into turn number 3. Something kind of disturbs the car up here in 3 and 4 as you see that, and of course there's a big bump going down into turn number 1 that can really get your teeth loose.
Turn 1's had a bump since the day they built the track, I guess, and they never have gotten it out of it. 3 and 4 is rough all the way through on the bottom lane. You'll see the cars later in the races, as the tires get hotter and the track gets a little bit slicker, you'll see them move toward the wall. The track is a lot smoother up there. Coming off the 4th turn, there's some ripples. And as they hit those ripples, you can see, and you'll be able to see it through the camera, you see the cars waving back and forth, and that's the drivers look like they're swatting flies in there trying to keep up with it.
Now, one thing that's drastically changed since a year ago, we saw Terry Schoonover lose his life on this back straightaway 1 year back, and they put in a new concrete wall down the back stretch. You were here for the first race this year on this racetrack. Does it make a big difference as you drove in today and took a look at it?
Yes, one of the largest improvements made in racetracks in the last 5 or 6 years. Now, Daytona made a big improvement when they straightened the wall out off their 4th turn. But down the backstretch, they have paved what used to be grass, and the pavement helps slow the car down so much more than grass does, and they've got a wall back there instead of dirt, so it's a great improvement.
Let's talk about that major safety improvement at this track. Dave Despain really checked it out. Here's his story.
Last November, rookie driver Terry Schoonover hit the turn 2 wall here, slid across the grass, then slammed into a dirt embankment lining the inside of the track. Schoonover was killed in that crash. Atlanta International Raceway Turn 2 has a much different look as a result of that incident 1 year ago. The dirt bank has been bulldozed and replaced by a concrete wall that extends all the way from Turn 1 around and clear down the backstretch. The question, why is it better to hit a concrete wall than a pile of dirt?
It's almost like the dirt bank absorbs enough shock to bring the car into it even tighter, and then all of a sudden cuts it off. It's like having a sponge against the concrete wall, and that sponge sucks you into the wall and then brings you to a quicker stop.
With any innovation, safety or otherwise, the proof is in performance. What's going to happen when somebody hits this thing?
The concrete wall will get rid of you in a hurry, and the shock particularly if you're going 160, 200 mile an hour, the shock is quicker and it's over with faster, and it's not near as devastating.
After today's race, this wall will be extended all the way around this mile-and-a-half oval. The estimated cost of the entire safety package, over $1 million.
Thanks, Dave. Really good report.
Let's take a look at another factor here, Ken. As the race cars work on drying out the track itself, pit road is a bit of a concern. Dale Inman has spent half his life patrolling pit roads. It's going to be damp on pit road, Dale.
Dave, this pit road is not real wide to start with, and of course when you come in and brake real hard, if you get your wheels locked up, you have a tendency to slide to the inside wall. I've seen cars go in and hit that inside wall just because they get their brakes locked up. It's not that you slide straight, you slide to the left when you do lock your wheels up here.
You can't run the cars up and down pit road, obviously, under these yellow flag laps, but they are sweeping pit road to get it as dry as possible because we're getting close to the start of the Atlanta Journal 500.
You just saw Harold Kinder handing the green flag over to the honorary starter for today's race as we get ready for a go.
Ken, I'd like to say that that boy that got killed last year, I was the next car in line and followed that thing from the time he first got sideways until he hit the outside wall and then the inside wall, and I had to miss him twice. And I think that the way the track is done today, I think that would be avoided. I don't believe that we have the same problems.
Senator Lous Fowler is going to be the gentleman dropping the flag. Get this race going today here at Atlanta International Raceway. 500 miles the distance, $366,000 the first, 42 starters ready to go for it. And you're going to watch it live today here on the Superstation WDBS. One more stop in 1985, Riverside, California, 2 Sundays away. We hope you'll be with us to enjoy that one too. Full flag-to-flag coverage here on the Superstation. Harry Gant bringing the field down. Out of 4. To the line. The green is on, and as they hit the first turn, Gant and Bodine wheel to wheel. Give it to Bodine. Jeff Bodine on the outside, wheels the Harry Hyde prepared car up there from above, and then back again comes Harry Gant on the inside, and they run wheel to wheel out of 2. As they go down the back straightaway, first time under green after 5 laps under caution. On the inside, Bill Elliott trying to make a move. Tremendous speed in this mile-and-a-half track. Around to complete lap number 1. Leader, Gant. Second, Elliott. Third, Bodine. And fourth is Darrell Waltrip.
Jeff got in just a little bit too deep in the third turn. I think they really need to win a race, and he just drove it in too hard. He got to push it a little bit. Gant just drove away from it.
Into the back straightaway. The record for this race goes back years. More on that later. Now look at Ricky Rudd at number 15 trying to make his move. 44, Terry Labonte on the outside. 15, Rudd comes to the inside. Ricky Rudd trying to pick up a spot with the Bud Moore car. Down they come off the corner as they wheel back across the stripe. Give another position to Ricky Rudd as he begins to clamber up through the field. Rudd in the number 15 car looking for a win. Has not had a win this season. Bill Elliott has scrambled around. He's up into the second spot, and he's looking for the leader, Harry Gant. Gant had a remarkable run at Rockingham, as you saw here on the Superstation 2 weeks ago. Just drove a phenomenal race with an ill-handling car almost the entire distance and wound up in the top 3. From the Alugard car, Rusty Wallace. Here with last year's Rookie of the Year as he comes down the main straightaway. Flying down into turn number 1. Watch him hit this bump.
And see the other cars just kind of offset. See, as he went underneath the 52 car.
Ooh, he almost touches Jimmy Means there.
You can see as they hit the bump, they kind of jump out just a little bit. And if you're not prepared for it, it'll actually slide out from under you, and you'll have to chase it all the way to the wall.
Cale Yarborough, number 28, Richard Petty in 43. And number 3, last year's winner of this event, Dale Earnhardt, continuing to set sail up in front, battle for the lead.
Elliott's going to go for it as quick as possible. I'll tell you, he's really wanting this race.
5 points right there. Elliott takes the lead and collects 5. At a 35-point deficit going into this race. There's Gant right in second place, and they're trying to move away. All ready to put a lap, and down on the inside, moving under Bobby Hillen goes Dale Earnhardt. Hillen qualified well. Gives ground as on the inside, Earnhardt continues to pace himself. Off the pace a little, car number 6, Eddie Bierschwell, about to be lapped.
gone straight to the front here as we watch the defending race champ Dale Earnhardt and the 7-time Atlanta winner Cale Yarborough. There is Elliott running out front of Harry Gant with a lapped car down on the inside. 2 reasons that Elliott is on the gas and has gone straight to the front. 3, perhaps, if you count the fact that this is his home racetrack. Most important reason, they got into the lead in the Grand National Championship during the middle of the season by running flat out, by trying to win races, by not being conservative, by going for the goal. That put them up front in the points lead. Then they had their troubles and they've lost that lead. Reason number 2, and it's very important here today, with the threat of rain, half distance will constitute an official race. It's scheduled 328 laps, 164 is halfway. It's going to be important to be out front all day, and that lends special significance to the Barclays Run for the Money $10,000 halfway award. Right now it's Bill Elliott out front. He's come from third to lead the pole sitter, Harry Gant.
As they come around, Gant in second, Bodine third, Waltrip is in fourth. Ricky Rudd is running in fifth, Benny Parsons is in sixth. Joe Ruttman in number 4 car is running the 7th position. There's Darrell Waltrip, and he's being challenged by a very stout Ricky Rudd in number 15 today. Waltrip's number 11 car in 4th, Ricky Rudd in 5th. This is the battle we're watching, going to turn number 3.
Dale said that earlier that this track favored the Fords, and I think it's starting to show just a little bit. Rudd's car seems to be very, very strong, and Cale's not doing bad himself.
Here's Ricky Rudd coming to the inside, trying to move underneath. 2-time Grand National Champion, Darrell Waltrip, and not successful. So the laps continue to trickle away here in the early going at the Atlanta International Raceway. You're watching Darrell Waltrip and Ricky Rudd in their own battle at 161 miles an hour for 4th place. Bill Elliott stays first. Harry Gant is second. More from Atlanta shortly. Helicopter, which transmits the pictures back from our in-car cameras today with Benny Parsons and Rusty Wallace, and because of the cloud cover that is so low, he can't get really the elevation we need to give you those pictures today. Hopefully we get a little, actually the ceiling has risen several hundred feet in the past hour, but we need to be up about another 1,500 feet to get what we want for you to really watch these guys at work out. This 1.5 mile racetrack, the Atlanta International Raceway.
I'll tell you, that's Mel Larson up there, and he'll get higher if he can. He'll get in the clouds, yeah. He'll run a helicopter.
The FAA has a few words about how they do that around these racetracks.
He'll bring that thing all the way from Las Vegas. He'll put it anywhere.
Now you're watching Tim Richmond at number 27 on the drive. Richmond moving up through traffic, trying to go under Kyle Petty. Richmond missed qualifying. With all the rain and all, he didn't get out here the morning of qualifying. He has the fastest car on the racetrack. He qualified faster than anyone here. He's now in the 18th position, trying to take 17th spot. And he missed the entire morning of practice. A whole lot of question marks about why he wasn't here. But he's here now, and he's making up time as he tries to cut back to the field.
Yeah, they went ahead and qualified the car with someone else. I don't know who it was, but they didn't get any practice.
Rick Johnson, I think, stepped in.
Yeah, I think that's right. And then he came out and just ran a couple laps, got in it, and ran faster than the pole. So the car's done well. They've been down here practicing a lot.
Here he is closing in once again on Kyle Petty, who's making a very good run in the Wood Brothers car number 7 today. That's the 17th place car. 18th is number 27. Meanwhile, up in front, it's Elliott, Gant, Bodine, the top 3. Ricky Rudd 4th, Waltrip 5th, Dale Earnhardt 6th. Parsons is running in 7th, Ruttman is 8th, Terry Labonte 9th, Cale Yarborough 10th, Greg Sachs 11th, Bouchard is 12th, Richard Petty in 13th. Here you see them sweeping the Elliott pit. That's Dan Elliott with broom in hand. Trying their best to get any kind of traction they can on pit road. They probably laid some speedy dry down, and now they're trying to dry it up, push it away.
Well, you know, they drag tires all day to get the surface of the track dry, but they don't do anything on pit road. And pit road really gets treacherous because a lot of times it is very, very slick. And anybody knows anything about pit roads, I backed one into the wall right there in the garage gate one time and totaled my only race car. Wiped it slam out. Sat there and cried.
Bill Elliott in number 9 is sitting there and smiling right now in that Ford as he continues to ramble out in front. And you get an idea of just how much of a cushion he's giving himself in that picture over the second place man, Harry Gant at number 33. Elliott setting a scorching pace in the early going as he stays well in front of Harry Gant. Bodine maintaining 3rd, Rudd still in 4th. Elliott is just putting it right through the horses here. Now there's the battle that's developing for 3rd position. Ricky Rudd has moved up in the number 15. He's going after Bodine. That's Ricky Rudd in the red and white Bud Moore car on the inside. The pride of Kendrick Racing stable. Bodine on the outside. Give it to Rudd in car number 15. He takes third, slides a little going into number 3.
Well, he did. But he's getting off the turn extremely strong, and the car's staying down on the bottom, right on the white line. And I think he's going to be somebody to contend with here today. Elliott's just absolutely just running away. He's doing what he did in the middle part of the season.
Closing up on Benny Parsons is Cale Yarborough, the number 28 car. The Waddell Wilson prepared Harry O'Neill Lundy car is also on the move. Now let's watch again as Ricky Rudd. Whoa! A little bobble there on that number 15 car. Had him sideways for just about number 5 car. The number 15 car, Brett Bodine, almost won yesterday. We'll tell you more about that story. He dominated, led almost the entire race. Brett Bodine, with Jeff Bodine as the crew chief in yesterday's ARCA 300. But in the last few laps, a remarkable turnaround gave the win to Lee Raymond. More on that story from the Goodwrench Race Center later today. Now you watch Ricky Rudd trying to get a little further away from car number 5, Bodine, and Walter just sitting there and watching as he usually does.
Bodine's car is a little bit loose. The rear's wanting to come around on him just a little bit, and by him being in second place makes it just a little bit worse, or he's riding in the center between those two cars, and it makes him feel like he's on a cushion. Rudd's car, I think, probably felt good and behind him. Now he's out in front. It doesn't want to turn well. So it just got the cars running all matched up now. That happens a lot of times on a track where you can draft.
26 laps are now complete on the leader. Elliott staying first and trying to draw away. Kent in second. Ricky Rudd has just moved into third. Bodine dropping to fourth. Waltrip fifth. Earnhardt 6th. Yarborough 7th. Parsons in 8th. Joe Ruttman is 9th. Labonte is 10th. Sachs 11th. Bouchard now 12th. Petty 13th. Morgan Shepherd 14th. 15th is Bobby Hillen. And then in 16th is Lake Speed.
I want to tell you, the Elliott bunch, in the middle of the season, people got to talking about them. They were just they were running too quick, and they should do something with them, slow them down and do something with them. And then they had some few problems, and Bill said he's got to get back to working on his car, and evidently he has, because he's right now.
It's every other week. When they get back to that time of the year when they can run every other week, it seems to give the Elliots time to really get primed and ready for these events.
Bill does a lot of the work himself. He can't just go tell somebody to go do it and then drive off and do something else, do his public relations work or whatever. He has to do it himself, and when he gets time, he's strong.
But watch this man, number 15, as he scoots up to the field. Rick Rudd, trouble.
On the 38 car, the
Alan
Hardy car. Yeah, he just dumped a lot of oil right in front of Bill, and he's still going. He's still under power, but he's got some kind of a leak.
Scary moment for Elliott at number 9, Alan Kowicki, ASA champion out of the Midwest. And that number 38 car dumped a little oil, and here taking a very wide line around it, using the handrail on the outside. Bill Elliott trying to stay in front and stem this misfortune that has been happening with him time after time of racing, while Waltrip has been getting stronger. Bill Elliott stays in front by 2 and 6/10 seconds over Harry Gant in second. Ricky Rudd is on the charge. He's in third. Bodine is in fourth. More from Atlanta live.
National races this year joins We're in the STC Big Communication Center, Atlanta International Raceway. Bill Elliott in a Ford, blowing the field away. Ricky Rudd in a Ford, moves up to third. Dale Inman said it's a Ford racetrack. Those Chevys have won 5 straight races here. Why the Fords today?
Well, the Fords are outnumbered here by the Chevys, but the Ford engine seems to have a longer torque range. Like in an RPM range, it pulls power in a longer distance than a Chevrolet, and there's a lot of corner here, like Dick talked about at the top of the show. So therefore, it gives it a chance to show that spread in RPM that will have power.
The motor will get it off the corner then. Is that what you're saying?
Pull longer. It'll pull longer and lower RPM.
I want to take a couple of these guys with me. Bill Elliott, Ricky Rudd, come with me. We're going to move over here and tell you about the Barclays American Run for the Money. $10,000 up at the halfway point. Bill Elliott won 2 this year. Only man to do that in 1985. Ricky Rudd, I got the wrong man. Come back here. Harry Gant. Harry Gant won 2 last year, has not won one in 1985. He's in second place right now, and he's hungry. And they joined Cale Yarborough. He won the halfway award at this race 1 year ago.
On the racetrack, you're watching Tim Richmond move underneath Bobby Allison. He has dropped back to 21st. He's now going for 20th. And they've got a problem in turn 4. Car crashing into the inside wall. Car number 31 getting loose, spinning down to the inside. Chet Phillip of Ozona, Texas. A rookie for this event. Barely qualified, is going to bring out the first caution for an incident on the track. We had 5 laps of caution at the top of the race, created by the weather today. And And now number 31 can deem himself a lucky individual out here this afternoon. Yesterday, major altercation on 3 occasions in turn number 4 really tore up some equipment. This car isn't bad at all and may be able to continue. First Grand National start. 2-time Indy 500 starter. Coming down the main straightaway with a left quarter panel in front, wrinkled up just a little. There's the replay. Backs it around, and he just can count his lucky stars right here, Richard.
Well, he can. You're in a bad spot there. You know, you're setting driver to oncoming traffic, and you just hope that nobody T-bones you.
That's a bowling alley down through there, and anybody coming along at 160 miles an hour is a bowling ball for any car sitting there. And yesterday we saw a terrible 4-car wreck in the last laps of that Automobile Racing Club of America event. And now you see Bill Elliott coming on pit road. This is happening in lap number 38. Here's Chris Economac.
Well, Elliott had a 6.7-second lead, and now he's coming in. I'm right down in this pit crew here. They're changing right side tires. Apparently they're going to take advantage of every stop to, as they say in racing, rebuild the car, to fine-tune it for what's to come. What full can of gas has got in, that's 11 gallons and part of a second can. And off he goes, a beautifully executed pit stop by the boys from the Elliott family in Dawsonville, Georgia. Back outside.
Here's Harry Gant coming out. Harry Gant coming back on the track. He's had a couple of tremendous runs recently. Rockingham was certainly one of the most dramatic performances in some time when he was sideways almost all the way around the racetrack and still gathered it up and kept on trucking to finish well up. All right, we'll be back with more live coverage of the Atlanta Journal 500 here in the mile-and-a-half Atlanta International Raceway. Ready for the race to resume with 40 laps completed here live on the Superstation. Bill Elliott in first, Bodine in second, Gann in third, Ricky Rudd fourth, and there you see Darrell Waltrip running in fifth spot. Earnhardt is sixth, Cale Yarborough seventh as we get ready on a restart. Ready to go back to green. First caution today, Chet Phillips spins in turn number 4. No serious damage. Pace car ready to come in. Field ready to roll once again. First time for an incident on the track. Average speed has been about 128 miles per hour in the early going. Slow for this race because of those 5 preliminary laps under yellow while they continue to dry out the track. 42 starters strong. Here we come on the restart. It's Elliott going for it. Bodine right there in second. Harry Gant in third.
You know, Elliott's going to try to lead every lap he possibly can. He got 5 points for leading a lap. He gets 5 more if he can lead the most laps. If he can keep Darrell from gaining 5 points from leading any lap, then he's picked up 10 points without gaining a position.
But for the moment, Bodine is the man back on the point. Bodine back in front. Elliott trying to take it back. He wants to. He almost touches it. Here they are in the main straightaway. And again, it's wheel-to-wheel racing. Elliott down low. Upstairs, it's Bodine and Harry Gant wants to get into it. 3 strong to the lead. Bill Elliott back in front. Bodine back to second. Here comes Gant on the inside. Number 33, Harry Gant becomes your second-place runner. 43rd lap being worked right now of some 328 in the Atlanta Journal 500 as Elliott tries to clamber back up in the standings. Waltrip said this morning, I can't win the championship here at Atlanta, but I could lose it all. So Elliott is running a very consistent race, just dogging along in here, following the footsteps in that path set by car number 9. Riverside, California looks like it will be the decision maker again in 1985. It's about a 15-car length advantage between the second-place man, Harry Gant, and number 33, and Bodine, who is slipping back. Bodine is about to be challenged the back straightaway by 2 contenders, Ricky Rudd and Waltrip. There you see them. Ricky Rudd, the number 15, Waltrip, the number 11, closed on Bodine. In a scramble for third. To the inside comes Waltrip. Waltrip down low. Ricky Rudd on the high side. Out of 4 in the main straightaway. Waltrip on the move. Cale Yarborough also is clambering up through. He's trying to move under Dale Earnhardt. There you see those two just the bottom of your picture for a moment. This is the battle now as Waltrip tries to nip another spot. He's underneath Ricky Rudd, and he's clambering up into the 4th position overall.
Waltrip's got to stay closer to the front than he has. He's got to stay up close enough that he can try to lead a lap, even if he has to do it under caution. And he wasn't able to do that a while ago. It would have put him too far behind. So later in the stages, if he can stay close enough to the front car, then he can make a run under the caution, lead a lap, and get 5 points.
Cale Yarborough moves underneath car number 3. Cale Yarborough picking up a spot. He's now in 6th, and look at the struggle. Waltrip bottom side as Bodine gets a little high over the bump in turn number 1. Bodine falling 2 spots. Waltrip pulls up into 3rd. Rudd is into 4th. Bodine falling to 5th. Kale Yarborough in 6th. And now, Harry Gant going for the lead on the inside. Number 33, the Bandit, goes down in front. Gant taking the spot. Elliott back. Oh, he's all the way in the bottom and almost lost it down there in the ripple.
Well, that's the place to be. If you can stay down there, that's the thing to do. If you can hang that left front wheel over that white line and still stand on the gas, then you're going to have the advantage down the straightaway.
But you better have arms like the village blacksmith if you want to do that every hour.
Yes, sir.
Here he is, Harry Gant, number 33, pulling away by 5 car lengths over Elliott. And they screen down the back straightaway on this mile-and-a-half track. Live on the Superstation today. The action is at the Atlanta International Raceway, next to last race in the $20 million Winston Cup Tour. Here they are, down out of 4, and here comes Cale underneath Bodine. Earnhardt being pulled along with him. Dale Earnhardt, defending champion of this race, number 3. And here comes Ron Bouchard as well. That moves Cale underneath Bodine and puts him up into the 5th position. Cale Yarborough and the Wado Wilson prepared for it for Harry Ranier. And Mr. Lundy, look at him draw away.
Bodine got a set of tires that's not as good as the last that he had. They've loosened the carb some. When he hits that bump, he just goes straight uphill.
On pit road, car number 45, Rick Baldwin for a moment. Well back in the field. Setting a scorching pace in the early going. It will not show in the average. They're not near the record held by Richard Petty at 142 miles an hour in 1970. On pit road, Bodine. Bodine is coming in. Boy, Richard, you hit that one right. He's got some tire difficulties here, and number 5 locks it up and comes into change right side.
Tire difficulties?
Yes, sir.
That's what he's got, yeah.
Sure does.
I don't know why they had a chrome wheel on the front and a black wheel on the back, so that's almost like they had borrowed a set of tires early, and they've changed the rear one, so I don't know. They just had a bad problem.
12.5 seconds on pit road for Bodine. They are anticipating more showers. There's that battle for the lead. There's Bodine just coming on the track, and he's overlapped by Harry Gant now in 1st, Bill Elliott in 2nd. And the scramble, the pressure is really on. They feel if there is a shower, if they can race to halfway, that'll tell the story. Elliott back on the inside. Wants to dominate. Take that extra 5 points given for most laps led in a Winston Cup race.
He's going to keep leading every lap he can possibly lead because he wants to get the most laps led. And Gant's just not going to let him do much of it. He's going to try to get as much of it as he can.
And don't forget that Harry Gant is 3rd in the standings. Mathematically still has a crack at taking the overall championship this year.
Certainly has a chance to move up good. He can move into 2nd awful good.
Now here's Bodine down on the inside of the new rubber.
He'll have to, he lost the lap when he come in and pitted, so he'll have to stay in front of Bill and just see if they got the car tightened up. Harry's doing some things this year that nobody's ever done. He's changing front tires
Harry Hyde.
or rear tires. Harry Hyde. Changing front tires, and then sometimes he changes rear tires, and that's kind of unheard of in stock car racing. And he's been doing it this year a couple times, and it's been successful for him, and that's basically what they did then.
Okay, down here in the Phil Elliott pit, everybody's looking at the stopwatches. That pit stop was significant. For one reason, they made no chassis changes. Despite the wet track drying out, and when he went back out, his lap time went down to 34 seconds flat. Faster than he's been driving all day long. Now, the interval between Elliott and Darrell Waltrip, whatever it is, it's going to grow bigger because Waltrip has no one to grab. Elliott and Gant are sort of working together despite racing for the lead. It's really interesting here from a strategic standpoint. Now let's go down pit road to Jerry Garrett.
Well, Chris, while Bill Elliott did not make chassis adjustments, just about everybody else chasing him did. Waltrip, Gant, Rudd, Yarborough, they all came in and tightened up their cars on the last series of pit stops. It may have helped Yarborough the most. He seems to be on the move.
Watching Elliott dominating. 52 laps complete, but not by much. There's Harry Gant right there in 2nd spot. As they continue to swing it out, Waltrip is up to 3rd, and Ricky Rudd is in 4th, and Cale Yarborough is right there challenging. There they are in turn number 1. That's Ricky Rudd on the outside, Cale Yarborough on the inside as they fight for 4th. 2 Fords running wheel to wheel. Back straightaway for the moment, it's Rudd. Cale Yarborough, former winner here in this Atlanta Journal 500, down on the bottom. Through 3 and 4. Yarborough takes the advantage. Behind him, you see Earnhardt.
Hale's getting his car tied in just a little bit better than he did in the earlier stages. In the earlier stages, he was having trouble getting under the middle corner like he did then. Now he's staying down in the bottom, and the car's driving away. You can see Rudd's car kind of wash up just a little bit in the middle, and Hale was doing that earlier, and they made a chassis adjustment on it and kept it down.
54 laps complete, 274 laps remaining. Now you're back with Richard Petty in car number 43. Petty running in the 10th position. Remember, he qualified 5th, which was exceptional for him. Didn't really qualify that well. He was telling his cousin Dale Inman. He was a little bit surprised himself about how well he qualified.
Petty's car, when he does qualify well, you can pretty well look out for him to do good. And he runs well at this racetrack anyway, especially if the groove moves up. Richard is a master running up against the wall.
With more right after this. Bill Elliott is doing what he has done so often during the 1985 Grand National Stock Car season. In super speedway competition, he is beating the field into submission in what has been the fastest car all year. That is the Coors Ford Thunderbird running up front. And Bill Elliott has done something else in 1985. He has won almost $2 million. Now, you know he picked up the $1 million Winston bonus for winning 3 of the big 4 stock car races. He's also won 2 Barclays American Awards. That's a total of $20,000. He wants the Barclays here today as well. Now, remember, halfway in this race will pay $10,000. That is on Elliott's mind, but for a couple of reasons. 1 is the money, 2 is the rain. He wants to win this race, and he wants to lead the most laps here today, and that is the reason that Elliott has gone to the front. The Barclays American Award now something over 100 laps away as we follow that battle down to the halfway point in the Atlanta Journal 500.
Well, there you see the battle, and you watch as Cale Yarborough continues to clamber to the field. Waltrip has fallen a couple of spots. Yarborough has picked it up. Ricky Rudd has moved up a spot, and that means that Cale is 3rd, Ricky Rudd is 4th, and Waltrip is back to 5th. Maintaining the 6th position is Earnhardt, 7th is Parsons, 8th Labonte, 9th is Morgan Shepherd, and 10th is Ron Bouchard, with 11th Petty, 12th Speed, 13th Rutland, 14th Kyle Petty, 15th Dillon, 16 Rusty Wallace, 17 Bobby Allison, and 18 Buddy Baker. Back in the 20th position right now, about where he began the day, is Tim Richmond's car. See the dark clouds over the turns 1 and 2. And that's one of the major concerns. A.J. Foyt has just pitted car number 14, the Gilmore colors. A.J.'s on pit road. Remember, he won for the Wood Brothers years ago here in Atlanta, but not in this race. From Rusty Wallace's car, looking out the back of Wallace's machine. Rusty Wallace running 15th overall on the field in the Alucard car, and I believe that's Neil Bonnet pressing right in there behind him. Neil, the winner of this event 3 times. Only one man has won it more, Richard. I'll tell you, Richard Petty at Daytona with his cousin Dale, that could be quite a program come 1986.
I can't help but believe it's going to be a strong program the whole thing next year.
There you see Rusty Wallace. Outstanding runner. Whoa, a little loose there. That is Neil Bonnet trying to tuck underneath him as they come down off the corner into the main straightaway. Buddy Baker, former winner of the Atlanta Journal 500, just barely in front of the 2 of them. Neil tucks it down to the inside. He did not qualify well and is still having his problems out here in the race. Neil Bonnet in car number 12, not shown in the top 15.
Neil's had problems this year. Some races he runs extremely well, and other races he just can't seem to get it together. And when they don't qualify well, they don't ever run well, doesn't seem like.
He's not in the top 24 at the present time.
Yeah, race over.
There's Elliott's number 9 out in front. Chris Economaki, any reports down there in your area?
Yeah, I'm into Bill Elliott, but it's interesting. They're keeping track of the interval between Elliott and Darrell Waltrip. It started out at 4.12 seconds, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 laps later, 8.68 seconds. Elliott has doubled the interval over Waltrip and is really running away from his principal rival on the clock.
Let's review a little further back in the field as you watch Darrell Waltrip here. Remember now, he has slipped back a little in the standings as Ricky Rudd and Cale Yarborough move past him. 11th overall in the race is Petty. Richard Petty is running in 11th, and the 12th position is now Lake Speed. The 13th position is Joe Rutman, and maintaining 14th is Kyle Petty. 15th is Rick Wilson, carrying number 21 today. 16th is Rusty Wallace, and 17th 17th is Neil Bonnet. He is in the top 24. We've rechecked with NASCAR scoring. They gave us 24, and he was out of it. They've added him now back in at 17th. Putting 18th as Bobby Allison. 19th is Buddy Baker. And 20th in this Atlanta Journal 500 is Greg Sachs. Going to 21st position then. One more spot. That's being reported as Tim Richmond. He nips between 21st and 21. Just behind him is the Bill Parsons car in 22nd. And going 23rd, Bobby Hillen. 24th, the 76 winner, Dave Marcus. And 25th, car number 5, Bodine. Remember, he pitted, got himself a lap down to the leader. He's made that lap up. He's running back in the lead lap, and he really scooted by the two contenders, the first of 33, and then the number 9 car to move back into that lead lap.
Bodine was the quickest thing on a racetrack, and he get away out in front. And he come up off of turn 2 while ago, and just a lap ago, and he got caught in some traffic. Boyd had just come out of the pits and hadn't got up to speed. It was on the outside groove, and he got caught him in some traffic, and Elliott run him down and got back by him. But Bodine's car's running well. He's just going to have to go back in front now to get the lap back.
Some 60, 70 members of the press all down on the floor below us will be voting the Gooding Headache Award, and I don't know who they vote for right now. Everybody's had pretty good luck except Tim Richmond in qualifying, and poor Mike Hilton out here, who is the fellow that organizes and puts this race together for LG DeWitt and Walter Nixon. Oh, come on, guys. They've got Economaki and Squire in there.
Squire, how did you make this? How did you get a Goodies headache?
Probably because of last week when I moved Goodies from Winston-Salem down to Salisbury, the home of their competitor. They haven't forgotten that one. There's Richard Petty on the outside of Ron Bouchard, who had a magnificent run at Rockingham in that number 47 car, the BB team. And right behind him, you see Joe Rutland. Richard Petty in the number 43. And working with him is Ron Bouchard. This is what Lake Speed has pulled up now into the 10th. Then you see Petty and then Bouchard 11th and 12th. And that's Joe Rutland right there next in line. You know, they talk about that Barclays American Award for $10,000 at the halfway mark. The last 7 years, only 2 drivers have led it halfway. Waldrop and Yarborough.
Well,
that's amazing to me.
It really is. Those are aggressive boys, though.
Car number 9 reported just the last lap sideways up at turn number 4. Bill Elliott, as we're watching this confrontation between Richard Petty and Ron Bouchard and Rutland further back in the pack, but that car is loose, they say, around the racetrack.
Here is Darrell Waltrip. Chris Economaki alluded to the fact that he is falling off the pace of Bill Elliott. A week ago on Motor Week, you heard Darrell say that his strategy for the last 2 races is crystal clear. Keep Bill Elliott in sight. In the points, that's all he's got to do. He's leading by 35 points over Elliott coming into this race. Now, that's the equivalent of 7th position on the racetrack. It's basically 5 points per position. So, given the present set of circumstances with Elliott leading the race, Waltrip's lead amounts to running 7th place on the racetrack. Given the fact that he is 6th, and given the fact that Elliott has already picked up a 5-point bonus, if they threw the checkered flag and the season ended right now, they'd be in a dead tie. Dale Inman, obviously Waltrip is not doing what he wants to do here today. Any theories on his situation relative to Elliott?
Well, this race is far from over, and of course, Darrell, he's going to get everything out of that car he possibly can. If it stays under him when the checkered flag falls, you better believe that he'll give it a good run. And Bill's doing exactly what he should do. He's trying to outrun Darrell, not try to outthink him, because Darrell has been around this game a long time. He's had some hard knocks at the points this year in the race of champions. He got out thought on the thing, and he's not going to let that happen to him again. I think he's still in pretty good position, and when the checkered flag falls, he will be there.
Tim Richmond now on pit road, and you watch Kyle Petty moving up through. Kyle is really on a run, and there's a problem on Tim Richmond's car.
There's something hanging off the left side of it. I don't know if he ran over something or they just or bumper fell loose. He caught something. Somebody caught somebody's tail end somewhere.
Tim Richmond, who was running in 20th on pit road, takes on fuel. This will put him out of sync on the pit stops. Kyle Petty is making a magnificent run. You saw him just going under Ron Bouchard, pulling himself up a spot. Here comes Richmond back on the track. Elliott staying in front, Gant second, Yarborough third, Ricky Rudd fourth overall, with now 75 laps complete. Of the 328 would make it the total total distance today. There you see the number 3 car. And that's 44, Terry Labonte, trying to take 8th spot away from Dale Earnhardt. Terry Labonte, number 44, and the defending champion in the Atlanta Journal 500 in the back straightaway at over 160 miles per hour. Live, here you watch them down into turn number 3, putting a lap on Trevor Boyce. Elliott really pumped up about this race. They thought the car was going to work well. Leads it at the present time and is trying to draw away. Meanwhile, Earnhardt, last year's champion, keeps nipping through traffic again, as he has been before this year on 3 occasions. He could be a real factor when it's all over.
Earnhardt drives his car nice and tight, and that's a good indication at the end of the race. If he can keep up pretty well now, he can do strong at the end of the race.
Darrell Waltrip's car number 11, still running right up here in the thick of it, maintaining the 5th position. Waltrip and car owner Junior Johnson know what to do when the championship pressure really starts to build.
We always, what we call, go back to the basics. The basics is to finish the races. The point system rewards you finishing. So we go back to something that we know will run 500 miles. An engine combination, a car combination, a driver attitude adjustment, maybe a little bit. Forget about winning for a while. Let's just go out and finish some races and see if we can catch up in the points. We've done it before. And the amazing thing is, when we start to do that, not only do we finish, but all of a sudden we find ourselves winning more races.
Interesting point there, Darrell Waltrip makes. When they went back to basics, things really turned around. He did not finish 5 of the first 9 races of the year. Then they went back to basics, and they finished every race since. There's Bill Elliott, the man that Waltrip is trying to run down in the standings. Elliott has failed to finish 3 times this year. Crew chief Ernie seems happy about what he's seeing today, and I would certainly think that there has been nothing but good news for the Elliott clan today. They're leading this race handily. They did not finish a total of only 3 races during the 1985 season. The Richmond and Rockingham races earlier in the year where they crashed in both events, and then at North Wilkesboro this fall, the flywheel went south. So he has 23 finishes and 26 starts, and nonetheless, Waltrip, who has failed in 2 more races than Elliott, still manages to lead him in the point standings. There's a Ford battle between Cale Yarborough and Ricky Rudd.
Cale going to the inside here, trying to move under some lap traffic. And Ricky Rudd, and they're going under Ken Reagan, making his first Grand National appearance since he was injured at Talladega, Alabama. And they're moving up on Mike Waltrip, putting a lap on him. There is car number 16, the Morgan Shepherd car, the hitchhiker this year. He started 15 races, 6 different teams. Best finish this year, 7th in Charlotte with the Bobby Hawkins team, which he is driving here today. He's driven for Petty Enterprises, for Dick Baer, for Buddy Arrington, the Helen Ray team, just to name a few. And he's having a pretty good run with car number 16. Morgan Shepherd at the present time being shown in 7th spot.
Half of that team's been bought by Kenny Bernstein, as it reported last night. And so next year they're going to go to war on whatever. They haven't decided what kind of car they're going to buy yet, but what kind of car they're going to get.
I can't believe that with Kenny Bernstein involved, it won't be a Ford, but we know one thing for sure. Joe Ruttman's going to be the driver next year.
Well, I know there's some Ford sheet metal coming that way. So,
so now, as the race winds toward the quarter distance mark up, we have Bill Elliott in first, and we have car number 33, Harry Gannon, second, Cale Yarborough third, and whistling along in 4th spot is Ricky Rudd. It's Darrell Waltrip back in the 5th spot. The average speed now stays at 139 miles per hour. We could get a record the way they're running right now. The record is 142 miles an hour. More from Atlanta Live. Bill Elliott continues to lead in our live coverage on the Superstation WTBS in the Atlanta Journal 500. The lap speed shown is 86, now complete here this afternoon on the 328th the distance. Elliott, who has not had an engine failure this year, but had a couple of wrecks, trying to get back up on top in the point standing battle. Waltrip has yet to lead a lap, so if they were to finish about as they are now, I think it's just about even. And at the present time, there's the nationwide leader, and it's the nationwide Fireball thing. Now, they give a $1,000 prize for a contender in this event who has yet to win his first Grand National race. Lake Speed came close at Daytona, now carrying the colors of that company. He's running 10th overall. Joe Ruttman is the next contender in their special award, and Kyle Petty follows him. Morgan Shepherd, of course, ran a race at Martinsville, Virginia. I was thinking about Morgan. Gee whiz. Well, he pulled one off.
Yeah,
But, boy, there's Blake really getting high out there as he comes off that corner. And he's closing up and trying to come around number 3, Earnhardt. Dale Earnhardt's number 3 coming back a spot here. We should be getting fairly close to tire time on a lot of these cars, right?
Well, they're getting close. They just being able to change 2 tires under the caution makes a lot of difference on them. So they under the green they have to get to the left side generally. Richard Petty's found a high groove like we talked about earlier, and Lake seemed to follow him up there, and it seemed to work for both of them. Now, Richard is a master at running up high like that. When he gets hooked up there, he's going to really be strong.
He's just moved around Waltrip and set Waltrip back another spot. Waltrip falling back as car number 43, Richard Petty, moves around him. Richard Petty pulls up into 7th. Waltrip falls to 8th in the overall standings. And you could see Dale Earnhardt really twitchy up here in turn number 4 a few moments ago, right after Lake Speed passed him.
He just did it in turn 4 again. And Lake got a little bit out of shape that time. He had to pass a slower car, overlapping car, and it squeezed him a little bit tight against the wall. So all those cars are getting slick. They're getting just like Richard. He just keeps getting higher and higher and higher.
Richard Petty's automobile clambering up through the standings. Car number 43 is on another good run today. He's in the 7th position. This with 90 laps complete. And now you watch Terry Labonte, number 44. On the outside, he's picking up a spot. Labonte moving around Earnhardt. This is in the battle further back. 10th position at stake here now. Earnhardt has been slipping back. Number 14, A.J. Foyt is back on pit road another time. Is down the main straightaway and charging into turn number 1. Terry Labonte just moves by Dale Earnhardt, last year's winner.
Earnhardt's going to have to get him a groove up high. I tell you, Richard has moved up there and really found a groove, and he's really getting it done.
What has happened to the old Richard Petty high groove style of racing?
The reason I ran there was that's where the car runs good. If the car runs good this coming Sunday up against the wall, and I can run faster speeds, then that's what I'll do. If I can run faster, on the flat, I'll run faster on the flat. So that was the only situation is that I'm bad about looking for a groove. If I'm running in a certain place and running the same speed as everybody else, then I know I can't outrun them at that deal, and I'm going to search around on the racetrack and try to find a little bit faster deal. And, up against the fence, if the car is handling good and stuff, it's more comfortable, it's safer, it's easier on the car, it's easier on the driver. Even though you think it's be closer on your nerves and stuff, it's really not as bad as really it looks.
Well, old Dale Inman right alongside here is going to rejoin his cousin Richard Petty, and that's number 43 car next year. And Dale, you had some observations about the fact that when Richard went up there, some other people went up there with him.
Well, he went up about 10 laps before anybody really seen it, and I'm sure the crews brought the other drivers around that Richard was running high and making good time, but Richard is still going in higher than any other driver, with the exception of Lake Speed, and he's making up a lot of time that way. He's running just about as fast as Bill Elliott right now, but the only concern I would have with running up there is there's not much rubber, and it might be wearing his tires just a little bit more.
When you set that car up for him, or the two of you set it up together to win 7 Grand National Championship, did you adjust the car differently to run up there on that line that he likes so much?
No, not necessarily. Richard will start a race, and he's going to find the place where the car gets around the racetrack the best, and evidently up high today is where he wants.
Bad crash in turn 1. A serious wreck in turn number 1. 3 cars have been involved. Caution is out on the racetrack. This happened in lap number 94.
A.J. Foyt was involved in that. I can't tell who else it was.
Mike Waltrip, number 23, down at the bottom of the racetrack, and he really took a hit. Former champion of the International Sedan Series of NASCAR, moving up, ready to make a full effort for Rookie of the Year. 6'4", Mike Waltrip about to clamber out after he contacts the concrete in turn number 1. Yellow is on the racetrack. Break for all these teams running the lead lap. A.J. Foyt coming out of pit road, and he is all beaten up in the right rear quarter panel. There's A.J. high, getting snarled, and that car that gets thrashed and spun around lands at the bottom of the racetrack. You can see A.J. pulling away. The car spinning. The car we're checking on the identity of. I think that may be Clark Dwyer's car.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's Alma Langman's car.
We may have another look at this incident in turns 1 and 2. And from another angle, there you see Clark Dwyer up there out of luck and out of room is young Mike Waltrip.
That's one of the problems with running high. If it gets loose on you, you haven't got any place else to go. You have to keep turning the wheel and then spinning.
Mike Waltrip walking away from his first major incident in Winston Cup racing, leader of the event, on pit road. Elliott, Dan Elliott, calls himself the unknown Elliott, back there with the headset on, pushing him off. Harry Gant coming out. They've been right up in the championship battle the last 3 years. Gant in car number 33. He's had 6 engine failures this year. He hasn't been in a wreck yet this year. I mean, one that knocked him out of a race. He's scunned up a few cars, but he hasn't lost because of being in an incident. And down at Rockingham last week, Dick, every other lap, it looked like he was going to be in real trouble. That was the most ill-handling beast. Travis Carter laughed about it afterward and said, just remarkable that he could drive that long that way before they finally found the right combination.
You know, they've had a real good thing going for them the last 2 years. They haven't changed anything. They just keep getting it better.
All right, we'll be back with more of the action from the Atlanta International Raceway. We're under caution. All the leaders taking this opportunity to pull on pit road. At the Atlanta International Raceway in the Atlanta Journal 500 with 99 of the 328 laps complete. The story's right here, number 11. With the caution created by the 3-car incident in turns 1 and 2, the leaders all pitted except this man. Waltrip in number 11 stayed on the track and picked up the 5 bonus points for leading a lap in Winston Cup racing. So he's picked up 5. He is now running 22nd overall. Here's Chris Economaki, editor-publisher of the National Speed Sport News.
I'm down here in Bill Elliott's pit. As soon as you see the kind of charity Bill Elliott is practicing today, on the 37th lap when the first yellow flag came out, he stopped holding a 6 7/10 lead over Harry Gant. This pit stop on lap 96, he had a 12 5/100 lead over Harry Gant. That's a total of 18 3/4 seconds he has given away in this race today. Now let's go down pit road to Jerry Garrett.
Well, Chris, besides that last lap that Waltrip led, this pit stop has been chock full of strategy for him. He came in and he tightened up the right rear of the car and he changed left side tires. He hoped that situation where the car was getting progressively more loose to the point where he could hardly drive it before that pit stop.
Here you see Bill Elliott's number 9 maintaining the lead. They're reporting that the Bodine car is still down a lap, but he's very close to making it up here after these pit stops. A.J. Foyt's car has been on pit road. One driver has been taken to the hospital. I think that's just for a checkup on Clark Dwyer after he really took a hit up in turns 1 and 2.
Waltrip staying out and leading the lap now. He's going to have to start quite a ways back. There's still a lot of cars on the lead lap, and they're not going to let him get close to the front. As fast as Elliott was running away from him earlier, he could be in danger of being lapped if he's still doing the same thing. Elliott could actually lap him on the racetrack now. 100
laps have been completed. We're past the quarter-way mark, almost down to a third of the event, complete at 1:09. Halfway would make it an official race, and that's why you feel this additional pressure among the power players in Winston Cup racing. Let's go to the STP Pit Center. Here's Dave Despain.
I hear an awful lot of talk about tight and loose. What the heck is tight and loose, Dale Inman?
Well, if you go in the corner and the front end don't want to turn, you're tight. But if you go in the corner and the back end wants to beat you there, you're loose.
I think that sums it up. Darrell Waltrip has tightened up the back end of a loose race car, hoping he can get it around a little bit better. Let's go over here and talk about Darrell Waltrip for just another moment. I think only in motor racing, perhaps, do you find more fascination with statistics than in, say, baseball or football. You look back through the record book of this race at Atlanta International Raceway, you'll find that Cale Yarborough has led at the halfway point more times than any other driver. That's important because here there is a $10,000 Barclays American Run for the Money Award coming up at halfway. And as I check the leaderboard at 101, that means that we are now within 60 laps of that dash for cash. Darrell Waltrip is second on that list. Yarborough has led it at halfway 6 times. Waltrip 5 times. Cale is the previous Barclays winner. Darrell has never won that 10 grand. Bill Elliott is the guy who's going to win it today unless something very strange happens. He is the 2-time winner this year and the only one who's ever claimed that 10 grand squat. Ken?
Well, there you see the Dick Bear car coming back. Mike Waltrip's aspirations. He smothered here. This is going to be his last Grand National race. They weren't going to take him to the Riverside race. He's going to get ready for Daytona. He's got a long time to get ready now, a lot of work to do.
Yeah, that that thing could turn into something a little bit with the Hawaiian Tropic people, so that's a shame that they had to go out like this.
And really, he was a victim of circumstance as Clark Dwyer's car came careening down off the track, and A.J. had already been tagged. A.J. again.
Let me say Hawaiian punch. I don't want to get too many letters.
No, okay. All right, they're lining up for a restart. And there you see Bodine sandwiched in there. He wants to go back up. He's making it 3 deep. Crowd on its feet in the back straightaway here at Atlanta International Raceway as we get ready for a go with Gant second, Kaylee Yarborough third.
Now, Bodine has a right to stay out there on the outside lane if he wanted to. He could actually stay out there. When Gant moved up on the outside of him, Bodine let him do it. Then Bodine's obligation is to go back. He can't stay there any longer. That's what he had to do.
Neil Bonnet and car number 22, Bobby Allison, down on the inside, just in front now as they've kind of sandwiched Bodine in there, which I presumably would think would make him a little unhappy.
Well, Bodine had the right to stay up there. He could have gone to the front, but he just didn't have a choice.
Oh, there you see the Goodies Headache Awards. A.J. Foyt, Mike Waltrip, Tim Richmond, and Dave Despain.
That's because I
he was
play
leaning over the side of the camera, I guess.
Because I play second fiddle to you, Squire.
Green is out another time. 103 laps are in the record book. Here in the Atlanta International Raceway's Atlanta Journal 500. Elliott scoops right out again and tries to build himself up a bit of an advantage. Here's Kaylee Yarborough, and he rides the outside. Look at Bodine trying to get up ahead of steam to pull around and get back in that lead lap, but nothing doing. Kale, the man who really looks like a race driver, he pulls up on the outside and tries to come up on Gant. There's Neil Bonnet in the number 12 car. Staying right there. He would like to get a lap back in this thing. Not to be. Buddy Harrington falls on the lap down as he's trapped on pit road.
It's going to be tough for anybody to get a lap back with Elliott. As strong as he is, if you get down, you're just going to be able, you're just not going to be able to catch him back up.
Back straightaway out of 2. Tail a little loose, but now he comes to the inside. And it's Yarborough underneath car number 33, Harry Ganton, taking second place. Great racing here today as car number 5, Bodine, works his way up the inside. He wants to get a shot at getting up there and try to get that lap back. Ricky Rudd looking good as this crowd, big throng, watches in attendance today, although the rain continued to fall all morning. Whoa, Harry Gant way wide and high. Parsons to the inside. Here's Allison, everybody in it. Looks like he may have got a tire down.
Harry's got a bad tire. He's got a bad right rear tire. I would think it's the right rear, and that's what caused him to fall back earlier.
Oh, that's a terrible misfortune for the Burt Reynolds Hal Needham team. Travis Carter standing by on pit road. I imagine they'll bring him in right now. Trying to get down to the inside, and I don't think he's got a place to go.
No, they're going to run another lap. I don't know. I would have thought they would have came in. It may not be a tire. It may just be that the car's a little bit loose, and he's going to try to tighten it up himself. Sometimes you can do that by driving it harder in the corner. Drive it really hard, really deep in the corner a few times, and use your brakes quite a bit, and it heats the front tires up a little bit. You can tighten one up just a little bit.
Waltrip in the number 11 car, working his way out of the back. Remember, he started here in 20th. He's up to 14th, and still a comer.
He's still got a lot of traffic.
Sure doesn't want to be a cropper when he's that far back to turn that point standing thing all the way around again in favor of George's Bill Elliott, and would this crowd be happy about that? And still, Gant is in trouble. Here's Baker closing up and running all over it, going down into turn number 1.
They're going to have to bring him in.
Harry Gant is all over this racetrack, but that's not any different from what we saw 2 weeks ago at Rockingham here live on TBS. Richard Petty pointed out that Harry Gant took the worst handling race car on the track and ran up to a third-place finish. Right now, he is in trouble. This is not just a loose handling car. This is a car with something broken, and Gant is finally going to bring it onto pit road.
He's had a lot of misfortunes with engines this year. His short track program has become stronger. They seem to have cured some of the engine problems, but here's just some gremlin attacking Harry Gant in car number 33, and he's fallen a couple of laps down already. Elliott continuing to lead, Yarborough in second, Rudd third, Benny Parsons up to 4th, Morgan Shepherd into 5th, Richard Petty is in 6th overall with 108 laps complete.
Yeah, they're gambling he has a bad right rear tire, and I think that's probably right.
11 7/10 of a second, he's back on his way, and about to go another lap down as Elliott storms down straightaway and passes him as he pulls out into the first turn area. Gant going another lap down. Tommy Ellis is also on pit road, and A.J. Foyt is back in still another time.
A.J. I think had some problem with the rear of the car. He's really got some handling problems since he got hit up in the turn.
number 12. Stays out here in 15th position now. And here's Gant, hoping he has his problems cured. Just ridden almost up to the wall by Neil Bonnet. Height running down here. He had him almost over the curb and up on the sidewalk.
You know, they have kept that team together for the last 4 years, I think, now. And they just keep it together, the same thing going, and they've really grown and doing well.
Petty versus Petty right now. That's number 43, Richard Petty, in the 6th position, and Kyle Petty in 7th. There they are, going at it. Richard Petty on the high side, Kyle Petty down low. And Lake Speed right in there with him. He's running in 8th, at number 75. There for that Nationwide award.
That's more than a father-son matchup right there, Ken, because the car on the bottom there, the Kyle Petty car, is the Wood Brothers automobile. The Wood Brothers, as car owners, have won more races on this racetrack than any other team. They've won 11 times. And who's second on that list? Petty Engineering, up there on the outside with the old man at the wheel. Richard Petty battling his son, and it's also a battle of the car owners.
Again, you're watching the scramble for 6th position. Richard Petty climbing up on the top of the staircase, and he leads his son Kyle down the main straightaway. I bet they're having a good time.
Well, I'm sure they are. I think Kyle's learning a lesson here, though. But, of course, his car may not want to run up there, maybe too tight.
You saw Dale Earnhardt's number 3. He's in 10th. Ron Bouchard is in 11th. And now Bouchard takes over in 10th position at number 47. Ron Bouchard to the inside. Richard Childress' car, the blue and yellow number 3. Coming back another time on the outside, and with him is Greg Saxon, number 77. Sax stays right in this hunt, too. Again, we're having problems with our Air Atlanta picture from the Air Atlanta helicopter back to our truck. There you see the Aliagard car with Rusty Wallace. We just can't get enough altitude out of that Air Atlanta with the low ceiling today to give you the kind of pictures we'd like. The helicopter relays the cameras back to our television truck. Oh, look at this clamber down into turn number 3. Bobby Allison the inside, Baker in the middle, and up on a high side, Greg Sachs. 3 wide. Kind of heavy-duty running.
That sure was. They kind of put Sachs in a bad spot there. He's, you know, if they all go up, then he ain't got no place to go.
Hello, Walls. Buddy Baker, car number 88. Former winner here, just barely cracking the top 20 at the present time of recording. Here's Chris Economac.
I'm down here with Harry Gant, Chief Travis Carter. Travis, we know we had a problem with the tire, but was it because it was bad when you put it on, or did it happen in the running after the screen came down?
Well, I think the tire was cut. Apparently, it did it under the caution period. We changed the left side and had a problem on the right side.
Okay, there you have it. One of the problems that can hit anybody in this crazy sport of stock car racing. Back to you, Ken.
One of the guys backing up right now is Darrell Waltrip. Bobby Hillen just went by him, and Waltrip seems to be slipping backward here as we watch Harry Gant trying to get some laps back. Here's Richard Petty in the 43 working on number 75, Lake Speed. They've had their own little go here in the past 4 or 5 laps. Now you see the Waltrip car, which seems to have something amiss on number 11. There's Kenny Schrader in number 90 working on Waltrip. Waltrip made a good run for a while, and now it's going the other way.
Well, he had to start so far back in that traffic. And only by being able to change only 2 tires, it really makes a lot of difference in the way the cars handle anymore.
He's back at 14th. So we now have 115 laps complete of the 328 that mark the distance in the Atlanta Journal 500, and more action in a moment. Bill Elliott, winner of $1,976,000 this year, 10 victories, seeking number 11 as he tries to get back in winning form to take the championship from the 2-time winner Darrell Waltrip. Right now, he is leading the Atlanta Journal 500 with 120 laps complete, 208 laps to go to make the distance of 500 miles. Cale Yarborough is in second, Ricky Rudd is third, Morgan Shepherd fourth, Kyle Petty fifth, Benny Parsons is 6th, Richard Petty 7th, Lake Speed is 8th, Joe Ruttman is 9th, Ron Bouchard is running in the 10th position with 11th, Dale Earnhardt 12th, Terry Labonte, 13th is Waltrip. Lake Speed has just pulled back on pit road another time, and Waltrip seems to be in trouble at this point.
Well, Waltrip, I think when they changed the left side tires a while ago, that they've got a hot right rear, because you can see him as he goes in a turn, and may cause them to get lapped, and if it does, then they're going to be history.
Let's go to Jerry Garrett with Mike Waltrip.
Well, Mike, what happened in that crash out there?
I went into the first corner down there behind A.J. and Clark's Liar, and Clark got to spinning, I don't know how, and A.J. went high and I went low, and A.J. hit Clark when A.J. was high and knocked Clark down low where Mike was, and so I really didn't have anywhere to go. I guess, you know, it's a bad way to end the season for the Lions Lynch Racing team, but we're looking forward to next year, my rookie season, and maybe after a year of experience, this wouldn't have happened.
You took quite a lick, but you're okay.
Yeah, I'm fine. We had the seat belts in the car were some new ones, and they had worked a little bit loose, and we had a vibration, so I was kind of taking it easy, waiting to get a pit stop and try to tighten the belts up and see what the vibration was, and I guess that's what happens when you take it easy, but I made it through all right.
Let's go see what's happening in the pits of the other Waltrip in this race.
But I'm down here with Jeff Hammond. Darrell Waltrip's crew chief. Are the adjustments right for Darrell, or are there still problems?
Right now, Chris, we've got a bad set of tires in the car. We changed left side tires, and Darrell went out. Didn't make any really major adjustments on the chassis. He's just been hollering here like the tires was real bad off. So, you know, trying to make sure we may have a tire equalizer or whatever. But
what are you going to do? You're going to wait till the next yellow, or are you going to come in on the green?
Well, we're just trying to wait and see right now. We're trying to find a groove right now so we can pick back up on the washers and try to keep them going down a lap.
Okay, so Darrell Waltrip's quest for the championship has run into some hurdles here at Atlanta Raceway today. Back to you, Ken.
It's only about a third of a lap from Waltrip back to Elliott. Elliott is leading by 2 1/10 seconds over Yarborough, and he is closing up on Waltrip at a pretty good pace. That's the interval to be checked here, because at the rate they're going, there's a fair chance before the next regular stop under a green condition that Waltrip could be going a lap down. He is running on the tail end of the lead lap at the present time.
What did Jeff Hammond say? No adjustments on the chassis. Dale Inman, I thought, sure. I saw a guy that looked like Junior Johnson reach into the back of that car and crank on it like there was no tomorrow.
Junior did put his arm in the right rear window, and I'm sure he was cranking some ways in or out. I'm not sure which way he went, but Darrell is definitely in trouble right now because he's within 9 seconds of being lapped, and Bill is closing in fast, and we're not halfway at this race.
I don't think trouble is the word. I think desperation is the word. Everybody talked all week about Darrell Waltrip this, Darrell Waltrip that. He was a confident, smiling man last week on Motor Week. Right now, they threw the checkered flag on this race. He would go from a 35-point lead to 30 points behind Bill Elliott in the standings. And if Elliott keeps storming up on him here and puts him a lap down before halfway, the story's going to be even worse.
Junior may have been beating on him instead of jacking away at him.
Junior may have been beating on Darrell. Well, this man's beating on everybody out there. He really has the spurs in car number 9. Bill Elliott out in front. Ron Bouchard's just pulled on pit road. Bill Elliott, he remembers his last race here at the Atlanta International Raceway at his best.
Well, I'd say here in March, because I came out of Rockingham with a wrecked car, broken leg, came into this race. We had a week off, and with a lot of mixed emotions as far as I was concerned. And we came in the race, I think I qualified third, and he ended up winning the race. And I think that was the best memories of this track because it was in front of what I consider a hometown crowd, which really means a lot to me in that respect.
Let's keep in mind, too, that Bill Elliott has just absolutely blitzed everybody on the super speedways this year. There's been so much talk about his run of bad luck, and indeed there has been one. He's blown a 206-point championship lead. But consider also that counting that first-of-the-year win here in Atlanta, this man has won 10 times on tracks of more than a mile. They tried to slow that car down by changing the rules, and it didn't do a bit of good. He still shattered the record on every oval where he's run. And here today, he's going for a record 11th super speedway victory. Sure, they've had trouble, but right now, Bill Elliott is in the driver's seat in the biggest of ways in the Winston Cup Championship.
Well, Dave, he's never won in this race. Of course, he won that spring race as part of this 10 that he's won this year. But in this Atlanta Journal 500, after he sat on the pole last year, second was where he came across, and that was his best performance to date in this event. Prior to, he's had some mediocre luck in this event, but only one position better, and that's the one where he is for a finish right now as he laps Rick Wilson at number 21. Second a year ago for Bill Elliott in this Atlanta Journal 500. Got a problem in turn number 1, a blown engine going down into turn number 1. One car skidding across the track. He went all the way to the bottom, back to the top. That's Bobby Hillen, Stavola Brothers' car, and the story keeps going around that next year that will be Bobby Allison's ride. Right now, it's nobody's ride. It's out of the race. Looked like it exploded an engine going into the first turn. It may have cut a tire down. Bobby Hillen's number 8. Did he get tagged?
Yeah, he got hit by the number 18 car. They came down the front straightaway with Ellis, and they were 4 abreast. And nobody gave away, and they just topped him in the side, and around they went.
Well, you can add him to that group for a Goodies Headache Award today, as well as A.J. Foyt, who's pitted his car and put it back in the garage.
Best thing.
There's A.J.
There's A.J. Foyt on the sidelines discussing that crash earlier. 2 big things have happened here in this yellow flag. One is that Harry Gant made up that lap that he lost when he had that tire problem. So the pole sitter is back on the lead lap. And also, Darrell Waltrip has picked up 28 seconds here all of a sudden. Jerry Garrett is with A.J. Foyt.
A.J., you look like you're out of the race.
Yeah, we broke something when that wreck happened, but we wasn't working that good. We broke our jack screw, and then last night we had some suspension problem. We tried to fix it, and we just missed on guessing on setting up the car.
What happened on that wreck?
Well, I don't know. You know, Earnhardt was right there on the outside of him. Looked like he kind of got the back end out and lost it, and it looked like somebody clipped him, knocked him back down in me, and then I went down, and that was about it.
Okay, A.J. Foyt out of the race, one of the former winners. And here's the replay of just what happened. Here's Hillen's car, and this is late in the going after he may have been touched up there by Tommy Ellis to get it triggered. And he spins. Fortunately, nobody collects it.
I just happened to look down as they came by here, and they were like 5 of them. There were 3
from the in-car camera, you see him spinning down the track, and that again is after the incident. He's down at the bottom of the track as Rusty Wallace came by in the Aluguard car. Now, the FAA may allow us to go up another several hundred feet and get better pictures here. They are holding that at a very minimum height because of the cloud cover here at the Atlanta track today, where there is still a tremendous possibility of rain. Let's go out to Chris Economy.
Okay, Bill Elliott has just had speed service, got out of the pits, and then ran into a little bit of a traffic jam. But the pit stop really is a blessing for Darrell Waltrip. Enables him to close up and solve whatever problems he's facing right now, and he's down there now being worked on.
Bill Elliott continues to lead. Car number 33 may be developing a problem. We'll check on that one for you and be back in a moment. 136 laps are now complete in our live coverage of the Atlanta Journal 500 here in the mile-and-a-half Atlanta International Raceway. We are just back under green. Cale Yarborough is now in front after this caution period. Morgan Shepherd's number 16 in the second spot. Ricky Rudd is in third. Richard Petty in fourth. Benny Parsons in fifth. Kyle Petty is in sixth. Back to 11th when Bill Elliott, who made a pit stop just before the green came out.
He and Harry Gant both did. They checked over the right side tires. Gant changed right side tires. Elliott got in and checked the right side or the right rear. So they just had to start way back.
Now there he is going under Rusty Wallace in the number 2 car. Elliott moving up on Phil Parsons in number 6, going inside and outside as he tries to ramble back through the field. He's clearing out some of the lap cars as he tries to close up on those leaders. Here he is. Let's go to Chris Economack.
Well, down here, Bill Elliott's pit. The fickle finger of fortune has pointed its finger at Bill Elliott. He now has a tire problem and will be coming in under the green flag condition to change whichever one is not correct. A tough break for the man who is filling this hometown crowd today. We'll be here standing by. Back to you.
So there's the story. For a while it was Waltrip with the problem. Now it is Elliott that is having a tire problem that will bring him back in under green. Look at Morgan Shepherd. What a run he's making as he closes up with the Ford of Cale Yarborough. That's the battle for first out in turn 1. Morgan Shepherd having a dandy day in car number 16. The hitchhiker, number 16, Morgan Shepherd, right to the wall as he closes up under the time on Cale. Ricky Rudd, the Budmore Ford, lies third. Kyle Petty comes next in his Ford in fourth, and Richard Petty lies fifth. See Richard Petty still using the high side of the racetrack out here. All the way up on the very top. Cale can't get away from Morgan. You surprised about that?
No, I think, Morgan was the fastest car on the racetrack at Darlington, and then they had some problems, and I drove for the Carolina Tool people one time, and they've got a good, capable race car, and I think Morgan's giving it a good ride right now.
Here he is back in turn number 3. There you see Ricky Rudd. There's Bodine, still a lap down, trying to get out from underneath it. 11 cars in the lead lap, and as they prepare to that restart, 2 laps before we rejoin you, we had Elliott on the tail end of that lead lap, and now he's trying to get back up into the hunt and having his problems. Again, here's Chris.
Okay, I'm down here with Ernie Elliott. Ernie, you guys were over the pit wall looking like getting ready for a stop, and now you've pulled the stuff back in. What's the story?
Well, we just thought we had a flat tire and run over some rubber. Evidently, it takes some rubber up on the tire, and it felt a little funny. We were just trying to be cautious more than anything.
He's okay now?
Yeah, there's no problem.
Well, okey-doke, a bit of a scare here, so things are back to normal for Bill Elliott. Now let's go back to Dave Despain and the SCB Mid-Center.
Well, it may be business as usual as far as Ernie's concerned, but I'll tell you what, this race has completely turned around. I mean, let's stop and remember that before that yellow flag came out, Bill Elliott was about to lap Darrell Waltrip. Darrell's outside the top 20. There's Waltrip. He's running 6th in the race now. He was in desperate trouble prior to the yellow. He got to come in without getting lapped, make the chassis adjustment that Jeff Hammond said he had to have, and Waltrip is now way out in front of Elliott. Remains to be seen who's got the fastest race car, but this race has done a 180 here with that yellow flag.
Going down into the first turn, there's Ricky Rudd to the inside, trying to take second spot. Cale stays first, Morgan Shepherd in second. Ricky Rudd maintaining third as they come out of turn number 2. Terrific racing here at Atlanta International Racing, and you're watching it live here on the Superstation WTBS today. We'll be back with more after this. Cale Yarborough, who won this race for Junior Johnson in 1980 driving a Chevrolet. Now the Renier Lundy team out in front. There you see Morgan Shepherd in second. Ricky Rudd maintaining the third position. Now to get an interval as to how far back car number 11 is. We saw the leader, and there is number 11. He is in the 7th position. Richard Petty in 6th on the high side just in front of him. There's where Darrell Waltrip and that battle for the championship lies on the track. And let's go a little further back and show you where Bill Elliott in car number 9 is in perspective on this racetrack. There's Elliott going down into turn number 1 in car number 9. That gives you an idea of how far apart those players are. Yarborough leading, Elliott and Waltrip in their war for the national championship. Battle for second place. Ricky Rudd comes to the inside. Great moment for Bud Moore. This team has been getting stronger all year. Boy, they take a high line out of number 4.
Well, the track's getting slicker and slicker. The tires are getting hotter, of course, and they're moving up. They're all finding that Richard is the fastest car on the racetrack. Is part of the reason they're going up there.
Morgan Shepherd not intimidated one bit. He comes out of number 4 and leads on it hard down into number 1 to go back in front of Ricky Rudd. And puts Rudd into 3rd. Petty 4th, Earnhardt 5th now. That's Kyle Petty, incidentally, in that 4th spot. Kyle's having a tremendous run. But the man who is the whole story at the moment is Cale Yarborough in car number 28. Cale Yarborough says that this Atlanta International Raceway is an oldie but a goodie.
Well, I like the racetrack. It really needs to be resurfaced now. It's about worn out, but you know, the racetrack is about 3/4 turns, and it's a driver's racetrack, and you have to have a car that works good and handles good, and to be able to be around at the end and be competitive, and I think that's good. I like to have to work for it, and you definitely have to work here.
About 13 laps away from the halfway distance in the race, here's Jerry Garrett.
We're here with Waddell Wilson, Cale's crew chief. They think it's the money driver, Waddell. Can he hang on and lead that halfway point?
Well, we certainly hope so. You know, to be able to do it, you know, there's a lot of good cars on the field state system. You know, Bill's coming up, and so is Harry Kent. So we'll just have to wait and see.
You're running a lot better, though, than you were.
Well, we haven't really adjusted on the chassis. We've worked on the tire stacker some. And, you know, the car, we'd like to have it better than what it is. But we'll just have to wait and see what Cale tells us, so maybe we can adjust on it and get it better than what it is.
Time's running out for anybody else to win that Barclays bonus.
One of the things I think that we made a comment about earlier was running high on the racetrack, and when a car has to start away back, it's like Elliott did. You have to run on the outside of the racetrack to get by all the lap cars, and that just makes you stay back there a lot longer. Now Elliott gets his groove back in the bottom, and he's starting to pull back up on Waltrip. In fact, he's catching him at a pretty good pace.
Yeah, he's back to 9th position now, is Bill Elliott. Big lap money coming up here very shortly. 153 laps complete this time. The halfway mark is lap 164. $10,000 prize for leading that lap for Barclays American. And right now, Cale Yarborough is the man on the money.
Well,
there's Richard Petty in car number 43. Way up on a high side.
Richard has been, for this whole run, has been the fastest car on the racetrack. He had to start way back, and he got caught in traffic. And he's been racing with Earnhardt, and Earnhardt wouldn't give him any slack. Earnhart would run up in front of him coming off the turn, and then dive to the bottom going in, and that kept Richard from being able to do anything with him on a straightaway. Now he's got him up side by side, and I think he's going to blow him away.
And he's got him for 5th. He has got him for 5th, I think, coming out of the corner.
We're watching Richard Petty do battle here. Dale Inman, you said if this was a long green, it was going to be good for Richard. Why is that? Well, he's running high on the racetrack right now, and when they got fresh tires on, they can run low for a while, and the tires will hold them. But he immediately went high with his new tires, and I know if he stayed out there a while in the green, he would get it worked out, and then he's starting to move up some right now. Brooks notes that the high line makes him right now one of the fastest cars on the racetrack, but you didn't see him when he first went back out there too impressed. You didn't seem to think it was working as well as you thought it would. You got any thoughts on what's happening there? Well, what happened is definitely quicker around the inside of the racetrack, and with new tires, you stayed there for a few laps, so he went out and immediately went to the high side, so his tires are in pretty good shape right now. He's not abusing his tires that much running high. Petty trying to use the high line to get to the front. Cale Yarborough using any way he can run to try to get that Barclays America $10,000 award coming up just 10 laps away.
Terry Labonte was on pit road. He was there for 13 seconds and came back out. And big lap money coming up, $10,000. But lap money in Grand National Racing has come a long way from its old days when it really began. 36 years ago they had lap money. June Cleveland, he won a Grand National race at Lakewood Speedway here in Atlanta in November of 1949. First NASCAR event to offer lap money to drivers. The leader of each lap on that afternoon, 36 years ago, received $5 per lap. And the winner, Cleveland, took home the grand prize of $155. And now there's $10,000 for leading one lap coming up shortly. And Cale Yarborough really has the bit in his mouth and wants it bad.
Cale's going to win it, but if something doesn't happen between now and then, but it's not going to be long after that until Richard's going to be in front of him. I tell you, an awful lot of people got up this morning and said there's not going to be anything left of this race today. We're only 10 laps away from having an official race.
157 this time by. Cale Yarborough in front, Morgan Shepherd in second, Kyle Petty, Ricky Rudd in third, and Kyle Petty in fourth, Richard Petty in fifth. And Richard Petty is the man on the move. He's closing rapidly on his son Kyle.
He's got him a good groove up there. I like to run up high like that. It's just like Richard said earlier, it relieves a lot of problems for you. It looks from here like it's really, really hairy to do that. But it's not. You got something to judge by. You got some guidelines up there. The only thing is when you're the pace setter for getting up there, you have to worry about stuff that's been thrown up and you cut the tire. But he's got the track swept off up there now, and he's got a good groove.
There you see the Bill Elliott car, Jeff Bodine trying to get a lap back from him. Remember Bodine a lap down. It's live here on the Superstation. Richard Brooks alongside. I'm Ken Squire at the STP Pit Center. Dave Despain and Dale Inman today. The editor-publisher of the National Speed Sport News, Chris Economaki, on pit road, along with Jerry Garrett, bringing you the action, flag-to-flag coverage of this, the last Eastern appearance of the Winston Cup Grand National Cars. 2 weeks, Riverside, California, to decide it all. Yarborough stays in front, checking the interval between first and second place as Cale bears down the Barclays American Award of $10 grand. It's 2 1/10 of a second. Back to Morgan Shepherd in that second spot.
I tell you, Morgan's doing a great job, though. He still managed to hang on to second in front of the other Fords, so he's doing a great job today.
160 laps complete. A lot of years, many races, and $10,000 would have been more than anybody could have hoped to have taken for any kind of prize. Back to when you were running.
Well,
early when you were running.
Early when I was running. Back when we was kids, right? Now, I can remember, not even dreaming. The whole circuit didn't pay $2 million, and now one man's won it.
There he is, the man right there, number 9, Bill Elliott, who can win $2 million on this Winston Cup Tour in 19 85. That's Greg Sachs running right behind Bill Elliott now. What a fantastic year he has had. But now what he wants. He wants that championship. He's happy with what he's got. And I've said it many times. But to be that close, I think Waltrip said it best. You don't get that many cracks at a championship. You can run a lot of years and just have misfortune play games with you. And when you finally get that close, that's the one you want. It's hard to get back up there that far. 10 cars running the lead lap. 162 laps complete. Jeff Bodine is back on pit road. Bodine is in another time in the Rick Hendrick car. Cale stays in front. There's Bodine's car. Left rear. Still another tire problem for Jeff Bodine this afternoon. Bearing down to the halfway mark. 163 this time around. It's actually halfway plus a lap to collect the 10 grand.
Yeah, Jeff's got a problem on the right side, too. They're going to change all 4 tires.
A costly one for Bodine. Harry Hyde and company. Trying to get him out there. Richard Petty is on the move up on Kyle Petty. Coming around 163. Barclays this next lap for $10,000.
Yep, he's going to be $10,000. Richard take down to Florence there.
Across the line, Yarborough at the halfway point. This is the lap that will pay him. Fun to see a man make $10,000 that quick, isn't it, Richard?
It sure is. It's fun to sit and watch it. I tell you, I don't know what I'd do with it if I had it. I'd give part of it to you.
On a percentage basis, I don't want to know how much. Cale Yarborough, who's won some $4 million, over $4.5 million, $4,600,000 he's collected. He just made pretty easy money on $10,000 here as he goes back to the line. And the Barclays check for $10,000 today goes to car number 28. Here's Elliott and Waltrip getting together now. Just past the halfway distance. Darrell Waltrip is in 7th. Bill Elliott is in 8th. That's Lake Speed up on the outside in the number 75 car. Darrell Waltrip down low in the back straightaway, and here comes Elliott trying to get around him. Lake Speed way on the high side. They're going to stack him 3 deep in 3 and 4.
Elliott's trying, I'll say.
That's your championship battle. Bill Elliott on the outside, Darrell Waltrip down on the inside. It is now the race for 7th and 8th on the racetrack. Keep in mind, they both led a lap here today. They both picked up a 5-point bonus, so we're right back where we started. Waltrip led the race for the championship by 35 points coming in, and we're right back at that point now as they run dead even. They both collected bonus points, but the difference is that Bill Elliott has got a whole lot faster race car right now.
Bill Elliott picks up another position. He's into 7th. Waltrip falls back to 8th. Cale Yarborough continuing to lead here in the Atlanta Journal 500 as we come to the halfway point this afternoon. Yarborough takes the Barclays American prize for $10,000. The leading contender for the Nationwise Award this afternoon. Looks like Joe Ruttman has that for the moment. We'll have more action from Atlanta after these messages. 173 laps complete this time by. They've broken the back of this race. There's 155 laps to go. 263 miles have been completed in the Atlanta Journal 500, and this is the man they're all talking about. He has just moved around. Son Kyle taken over 3rd position. Car number 43. 48-year-old Richard Petty, who's won some $5,600,000 in his Grand National racing career, and he's closing up on car number 16, Morgan Shepherd. But therein lies a problem. Well, that man, number 16, is taking the same elevator ride around the turn as Petty.
Well, Richard ran right up on him. He wouldn't let him go by. That changed Richard's whole race car because now he's drafting through the corners up high behind the car, and he hasn't been able to do that. And he's actually fallen off a little bit now because he's heated his tires up some. So he's...
Dale Inman watching this battle with great interest here, preparing to rejoin Richard Petty and a team that won 8 championships over the years. Really calling the shots today. First, you predicted the Fords up front. There's Cale on the Thunderbird leading the race. Then
Well, you predicted Richard Petty was the strongest car during this green flag run, and here he is up to third trying to take the lead. But your projections are at odds now if he moves up and passes him, isn't it? Well, I'm in trouble because Morgan and Richard are gaining a little bit on Cale, so that puts the Fords out. But Richard's having a little bit of trouble with Morgan because Morgan is, like Dick said, is running exactly the same line that Richard's running and doing a little bit better than Richard right now. So if they keep running up there, they're going to get that proved slick with two cars.
The up-and-coming award leader right now, that Nationwide award, is this man, Kyle Petty, in car number 7. Joe Ruttman in the number 4 car. Joe Ruttman in this race is second in the Nationwide standings. Checking out Ruttman's position overall in the event. Joe Ruttman running pretty well back, and Lake Speed is 9th, and then Lake Speed is 11th, and Phil Parsons is 18th. I thought we had Joe up into 7th for a moment. $1,000 worth of merchandise. It is 9th on Joe Ruttman. 4th overall in the race is car number 7, leading in the Nationwide up-and-coming award, Kyle Petty, who's having just a dandy day. And his father, Richard, looks like the Richard Petty of the past, up there battling now for second position with Morgan Shepherd, who's having an excellent afternoon. Here's Richard Petty in car number 43, completing another lap and staying way up on the top side of this racetrack.
Yeah, Cale's moved up there now. He got to look in his mirror, I guess, or somebody got to tell him, hey, they're running you down. So he's moved up. And I think, like Dale said, after a while, Richard's sweet run up there is going to go sour because it's going to be slick.
Here's Richard getting around the Rick Wilson car. Shepherd is closing on Cale, incidentally. The second-place man is moving in on the leader, Cale Yarborough, number 28, as we watch Petty coming down another time. Petty has lost about 6 car lengths to Morgan Shepherd, and Morgan Shepherd has gained about the same margin on Cale Yarborough, and all 3 of those cars running first, second, and third are, I think, using the banister as they climb around the outside.
I think Petty's running about as good as he was. Just Morgan got up there and found the groove, and he got to running really good. So, you know, Richard taught him a lesson, and now he's taking it and running with it.
Running in 4th, Kyle. 5th is Ricky Rudd. 6th is Dale Earnhardt. 7th is Bill Elliott. 8th is Darrell Waltrip. 9th is Ruttman. 10th is Parsons. 11th, Labonte. 12th is Lake Speed. 13th is Gant. 14th is Greg Sachs. 15th is Neil Bonnet. 16th is Buddy Baker. And 17th is Phil Parsons. Cale with the lead. And Morgan Shepherd is definitely closing the distance here. Kyle's having a great run.
Kyle stayed down the bottom. His car's working right. He's closing.
The average
on all of them.
The average speed's 139 miles an hour. Remember, we ran the first lap under yellow very slowly to drive the track. The record for this race dates back to 1970 with Richard Petty, when he won at an average clip of 142.7 miles per hour. And there you see them right up pressing the wall, the 2 leaders, and definitely closing is Morgan Shepherd on Cale Yarborough.
Well, he's closing up, and they all 3 of those cars have moved up, but Kyle never did change. He stays right in the bottom, and he now is the quickest car on the racetrack.
Here's number 7, Kyle, back up on Richard another time. Kyle Petty's right back into it. What a good scramble they've had all day. Father and son racing out here, and you're watching it live on the Superstation. Here's a report from Jerry Garrett.
Well, Ken, right now down in Cale Yarborough's pits, we're looking at his scorecard, and his lap times have been dropping off here the last few laps. He was in the high 34-second range. The last 10 laps have all been in the 35, so I guess his tires may be going away.
Something is amiss out here, coming out. A lot of sparks out of turn 4 on one car. And down the main straightaway, Alan Kowicki was showing a tremendous amount of fire from beneath his car. He's still been going, and there's no caution out. All of a sudden, as you watch number 7, Kyle Petty, underneath Richard Petty, and picking up a spot, Cale Yarborough's got his hands full for the lead.
Morgan's going to have to do the same thing to Cale that Richard had to do to Morgan when he caught him. Cale has moved up into his spot, and now he's going to have to find another spot in order to pass him. He tried it coming off his second turn. It didn't work. Cale's going to move over and let him go by. Cale's going to the bottom and let him, he's going to go back and work on the bottom because Kyle's catching up.
Here they are back in the main straightaway. Maybe he thinks that next groove down is settled up a little bit.
Well, it didn't work.
Run now.
It didn't work for him up high. The down low didn't work the greatest either, but up high didn't work for him at all, so he's going to go back to the bottom, I expect.
Little anxiousness down here in his pit area. There you see Morgan Shepherd all the way on the top of the racetrack. And working down down to the basement. Cale Yarborough in car number 28.
Cale Inman, we watched Cale Yarborough run the high line, then decide to come down on the bottom, run the low line. Who calls that shot? Does the driver do that, or does the crew chief have some input into that?
Chief said something about it, but Cale's got to do what the car feels under his rear. You know what I mean? He's got to do what the car tells him to do. And right now they're moving up and down the racetrack, and it's really a good race right now.
You mentioned that the crew chiefs like this racetrack because they can see a lot of it from pit road. What kinds of things do you try to watch for as a crew chief and relay to your driver?
Well, just exactly what we're seeing. If somebody's running real fast high, we tell the driver, and if they're doing running real low and doing good, we'll tell them that. But it's a good place for the pit crews to be a spectator today because they can see all the way around this racetrack because it's a low infield.
Let's find out if Jerry Garrett can add something to this story. Jerry?
Well, we checked with Waddell Wilson to see what is wrong with Cale's car, if anything, and he says there isn't anything really wrong. It's just that Cale is trying a bunch of different grooves to see how the car will behave. He's trying a low groove right now, as we can see, and he's pulling back out ahead of Morgan Shepherd with it.
And the behavior pattern is much better on the bottom side. There you see the interval now, and it's built back to about 15, 20 car lengths between Yarborough in first and Morgan Shepherd in second. Kyle Petty has taken over in third, and he is closing up on Morgan, and he's using the bottom of the racetrack.
Kyle never did change. He never did go to the top, and Cale did. Cale seen that he was getting running down, and I think like Dale said, somebody told him, said, hey, you better look in your mirror, man. You're in the wrong place on the racetrack. So he went back to the bottom, and now he's pulling away. But Kyle, he never changed, and he's doing an awful good job of staying down there.
Indeed he is, and he is closing it in now. And here's number 9, Bill Elliott. Remember that Elliott is lying in the 7th position. Waltrip is in 8th, and it's stabilized back there. That isn't changed, but black flag is out on which car? 38, Alan Kulwicki. Remember we said we saw sparks off the car a few moments ago. He pitted briefly. He's come back out, and the consultation flag is again on him. Car number 9, Elliott, is 8 2/10 of a second from the leader in the race, Cale Yarborough, at this time. And first to 4th place is showing as 2 1/10 of a second. That's from Cale back to Richard Petty. It's still Cale Yarborough out here trying to win his second Atlanta Journal 500. And you're watching it live on the Superstation. Lap 188. A caution on the track for this man, Dave Marcus. The incident in turn number 4. Perhaps the luckiest man here. You may not think so, as you see this car coming down the back straightaway, trying to get back to the pit area. But when you see the replay, we get an idea of just how lucky he was. He spins, he collects the wall, tears the car up, comes down across traffic. Among those that just barely missed him, the Darrell Waltrip car.
He did an awful good job of holding it. He had blown the right rear. See how it blew the right quarter panel off the car? He had blown the right rear, and that's what got him to spin in the first place.
So Dave Marcus, the 1976 winner of the Atlanta Journal 500, has brought out still another caution, the 5th one of the day, 5th caution of the afternoon. And let's go now, while we have this moment, to get an update on other motorsports news today with Bob Barsha standing by at the GM Goodwrench Motor Week News Center.
Thank you, Ken. Well, the 1985 Formula One Series is now history, and former world champion K.K. Rosberg of Finland ended it on a high note, winning the Australian Grand Prix over the streets of Adelaide, Australia. Frenchmen Jacques Lafitte and Felipe Street finished 2nd and 3rd for the Ligier team. That's their best finish of the year. Over 100,000 people were on hand as hot temperatures and race incidents took out many of the top cars, including Alain Prost, Niki Lauda, Nelson Piquet, Ayrton Senna, and Nigel Mansell. Here at AIR today, Darrell Waltrip is a race driver, but last night in Jefferson, Georgia, he was a race promoter. Darrell also learned what it's like to have to deal with rain. The World Crown 300 was set to run a week ago with Darrell and Bill Elliott in sort of a mini shootout in smaller cars. Got rained out. Last night, rain threatened again. Grand National sponsors asked both Elliott and Darrell not to drive. They did not. The rain came after 208 laps. The race was called, and Michigan's Mike Eddy was declared the winner. The other major motorsports event of the day is going on in St. Petersburg, Florida, where the SCCA Can-Am and Trans Am cars are running. The Can-Am cars are on the course right now. We'll have those results later on in our next GM Goodwrench Motor Week Illustrated Racing Update.
Thank you very much, Bob Barsha. Under caution for the 5th time this afternoon, here's Jerry Garrett.
Well, we just checked with Waddell Wilson. They changed left side tires on that pit stop for Cale Yarborough. Left sides only. Those are the ones that they change under under green or under yellow. And he says that those are the ones that are taking the most stress out here today. Those are the most important.
Car number 55, Parsons, has just gone back to the garage area. Something to miss on his car. UC 71, Dave Marcus, heartbreaker for this independent who runs strong and is a really fine competitor.
That's a shame. It's especially when it's something you can't do anything about.
On the restart, Cale Yarborough will have still somehow held on to first place after all these pit stops. Waddell's doing a dandy job. Here's Chris Economy.
Well, these pit stops are very, very interesting. The way the laps break, 192 laps on the scoreboard, that means that if a car is getting good mileage, it can make the finish line in one more pit stop, but it's going to be pretty iffy. And that's the concern here now, whether they're going to be able to stretch that fuel to come home with one more pit stop. Back to you.
Thank you, Chris.
I wonder how Chris learns all that stuff. He must have an ad machine in his pocket.
Richard Petty, number 43, is having one of his best races of 1985. He remembers Atlanta International Raceway because it made him stock car racing's first $1 million winner.
Like 1971 or something, you know, that's when there wasn't a lot of money floating around, and I'd run for 15 years and finally won the first $1 million year as far as, you know, enough money to get over. So that was a big day for us at that particular time. And, you know, $1 million now, they're winning $2 million in a season. But, you know, 1970 to 71, that was a lot of different deals.
Richard Petty, the King, has only won top 5 finish this year. Hasn't done that poorly since 1958. That was the year he entered 9 races and had only 1 top 10 finish. Of course, he's been a winner here 4 times, starting back in 1960, 1966 rather, 1970, 71, and 74. He came home victorious on this track in this event.
Hard to say what happens to a guy if something like that happens, but you know, it don't make a difference if it's Richard Petty or Cale Yarborough or whoever it is. You can't pick one of the things that can carry it around a racetrack. You know, if the car doesn't work well, if it doesn't finish for you, then you don't have much of a choice to do much. And he's got 1 top 5 finish. He's had a lot of no finishes this year, mechanical problems.
Just a tremendous number of engines have come loose. I think he lost something like 8 engines to date this year. Let's go to the STP Pit Center. Here's Dave Despain.
And under cloudy skies, we're watching Cale Yarborough circulate here as leader in a race that is now official. We've had so much rain here as the spin-off of Hurricane Juan. A lot of speculation this thing would never run, but in fact it has run the official distance. Cale Yarborough the leader, and we're going to be back with a whole lot more action right after this timeout.
196 laps have been completed off the 328, and we're just back under green as you rejoin us with Cale Yarborough running in first, Kyle Petty in second, Morgan Shepherd in third, and Morgan Shepherd falling back on that start. Shepherd falling quickly back. Richard Petty pulls up into third, Dale Earnhardt in fourth. 8 cars in the lead lap at this juncture of the race. Cale still in front. And I think Dale Inman said it right at the top. The Fords are going to be tough today, and indeed they are.
Morgan's trying to get down in the pits, and he's going to make it.
The green car right behind the leader is Joe Ruttman. He is running in the 9th position. He was in the lead lap. He's just gone a lap down now. Morgan Shepherd has just pitted number 16. Morgan Shepherd
That's a shame after running as good as they've been running to have it happen. I'll tell you what happens. They're only being able to change 2 tires. If tires are really, really hot, and they have a tendency to pick up stuff more. But the 2 tires that you have to leave on, they pick up more stuff, and that's the reason you see more flats now after the caution.
There's Morgan coming out. You watch number 33, Harry Gant. He's running a lap down and trying to get back up into this. He's just moved around Joe Ruttman and is closing up on Cale Yarborough.
I'll tell you, Harry's giving it a good run, though. He's giving it a good ballot try.
Boy, look at Cale. Look at the good luck here. Now let's talk about the bad luck today. At Goody's Headache Award, among the candidates for sure now is Dave Marcus. He'd get my vote. That guy tried so hard. Mike Helton, you can take his name down. That Mike Waltrip, after that incident he had up in turn 1, he's in it. A.J. Foyt. How about that? I mean, poor A.J. went out here. He gave it a great shot this afternoon, and it just came up short. Morgan Shepherd, he may be a candidate the way things are going. The press will vote on that. We'll give you the story when it's over this afternoon about who has the darndest luck there is. That isn't the one who has the hardest luck if something serious should happen. But I tell you, Steve Wade and some of those guys had some very unusual votes over the years since who got that award.
I sure have. I tell you, the Goody's people are really great people, and that's one award that that nobody wants.
But it's meaningful, because particularly some of those smaller teams that don't get that many things, and kind of get forgotten on the end of a race.
Ruttman's car's out.
Ruttman up in turn number 3 has come to the bottom. He's running on the apron very slowly now.
I talked to G.C. Spencer this morning. He said they were going to run in front if they possibly could. He put enough gear in it to do it. If it stayed together, they were going to run up front.
So here's Joe Ruttman pulling on to pit road, who next year will drive for Kenny Bernstein with a brand new team. Actually part of this team that we saw Morgan Shepherd with today, right?
Bernstein bought in half of that. And he's been wanting a team for quite a while, and he found that one, so he bought half of it, and they're going to have Joe Ruttman drive it.
Bernstein went down to Daytona this year. Thought he'd give it a try. And he gave it a try.
Well, Bernstein was on the car that I drove for Petty this year. I drove for Maurice Petty down there in a Ford, and Bernstein put his name on that car. And we ran fairly well. We were running fourth late in the race and lost the front wheel, so he got a taste of it. In fact, I beat him in a pool and got a couple $100 leave.
Car number 44, Terry Labonte, is making up a lap. He is a lap down. Here's Greg Sachs trying to move through. The real story here is that car number 7, Kyle Petty, is in second place. Oh, look out. Richard is in third. Car number 43, so it's Petty running in second and third. Cale Yarborough out in front. Two generations of Pettys, and look at number 9 come on, as well as number 3, Earnhardt, back into it. Dale Earnhardt is in fourth. Elliott is in fifth. Waltrip is in sixth. Ricky Rudd is in 7th. Now there's Elliott down to the bottom side, and he's going to pick up a spot. Richard Petty back on the outside. Great racing here, live on the Superstation. Top sports action. The National Basketball Association. Great automobile racing. Atlanta today, Riverside, California in 2 weeks. If you can't be there, be with us. We'll bring you the action from the 9-turn Riverside International Raceway 2 weeks from today. Now there's Petty setting sail on the high side and looking good. Kyle Petty in the number 7 car, down a little lower. 77, Greg Sachs right behind him. Morgan Shepherd, number 16, a lap down. And look at Richard. Come on. Here's Richard trying to pull abreast of his son, Waddell Wilson, looking at the watches as the Cale Yarborough team stay out in front. Battle is for the second position. It's Richard on the high side and Cale really into it here. Cale up in front, and now Richard in the second spot, and here comes Elliott. Kyle falling back. Elliott, what a head of steam he's got going. From the outside down to the bottom, and that thing is really tracking.
Well, he's we said earlier he had to start so far back that he had to run on the outside a long time, and he never did get caught up. He started up in the heat of it this time, right up in the racing part of it, got him down on the inside, and he's got his groove back.
Elliott is pulling away from Darrell Waltrip. They said all week they were going to keep an eye on one another and race one another this week. I got a feeling that Ernie and Bill have talked. They've adjusted the car on that last pit stop, and they've also said, get out there and push the button, Bill, because we got a big black cloud outside of turn number 1, and it's been hanging there for about the last 50 laps. It has started to move over the racetrack. Bill Elliott in second place, trying to get to the lead because he wants to be out front if the rain should fall and stop the race.
Dave, as you speak, the spotters up in 3 and 4 are reporting a few raindrops there at this moment. And that may be the reason why we're seeing them pick up the tempo here at lap 2:07.
Jim,
Cale first. Elliott into second. Richard Petty third. Earnhardt coming to fourth. And it is getting darker here at Atlanta International Raceway.
I think Gant probably knows that, too. He's trying to get his lap back, and he's really been dogging Cale.
Oh, he's sideways out of that corner for a moment.
He's trying hard.
Sure is. 33, Gant. Up on Yarborough, the leader, trying to unlap himself. The story is further back for Bill Elliott in the number 9 car. Just whips through automobiles. Directly in front of Elliott is the Morgan Shepherd car, now a lap down.
Gant's going to try on the outside, I think. I think he decided he can't do much on the inside, and it was making his car a little bit loose, so he's going to go to the outside. You know, Gant and them has really got to running this year. They really had a good part of the mid-season and such. And a guy named Don Tilley that races motorcycles for Harley Davidson. In fact, they have tied up the championship this year. Harley Davidson that was an engineer, and he retired. So he went over and went to working for them a little bit and working with flow benches and really got something going for him.
Here is Ricky Rudd's number 15. He's given it such a good shot today, but now he's about to go a lap down. Ricky Rudd, who'd been up here in that lead lap, running in 7th of recent, in the pits, and the leaders storm by down into the first turn. What a bad break for Ricky Rudd. The hood is up on the car, and Gant can't get that lap back from Cale Yarborough. Back straight away, they streak down through there, better than 165, 170 miles per hour. And Cale stays first, and his interval back to the second place, a little over 3 seconds now. Bill Elliott maintaining that second position. There he is in second, and you see Morgan Shepherd on the outside, a lap down. So Elliott continues to close. Waltrip is back in the 5th position. Richard Petty is 3rd. Dale Earnhardt is 4th. And we'll have more action from Atlanta after these words.
Just hear the stock cars rolling down that high bank track. Better keep your eye on number 5, cause he ain't looking back. That's Levi Garrett coming through. Taste that flavor coming through for you. Time after time, the quality comes through. That's why Levi Garrett is the brand I'm proud to choose. Levi Garrett.
Do you know what all these people have in common? They're all members of the National Rifle Association. Why have 3 million Americans joined the NRA for just $15?
Number 15, Ricky Rudd is out of it. Back to the garage area. They fired it up, took 1 lap, and put it back in the garage. The battle right now on this racetrack is developing for 3rd spot. Dale Earnhardt in number 3. And the all-time champion, 200 times a winner, Richard Petty in number 43, back there in the 4th spot. Earnhardt showing a lot of spunk. He's won 4 Grand National races for that real Richard Childress team this year. And his sponsors are all here today looking on David Allen and the folks, and they really want him to perform well. He won this race a year ago, and he's giving them a lot to cheer for. Here's Earnhardt coming down out of the 3rd and 4th turn, leading Richard Petty. Waltrip is 5th, Kyle Petty is 6th, Harry Gant is 7th, Terry Labonte 8th. Morgan Shepherd 9th, Greg Sachs 10th, Blake Speed 11th, Rusty Wallace is 12th, Bobby Allison 13th, Buddy Baker 14th, Neil Bonnet is running 15th, Kenny Schrader 16th, Phil Parsons 17th.
Harry's just slowly losing back just a little bit. He's not going to be able to do much with getting his lap back at this time. Cale's wearing him down.
The number 3 car of Earnhardt had some spectacular runs this season. Richard Petty seems to find a higher groove every time. I mean, he can't get it much higher unless he starts to go on 2 wheels up there.
Well, we've had 2 or 3 of them running up there, and it makes it a little bit slicker.
The latest report has the average speed down to 137.603 miles per hour. That caution brought it down some. Gant running 7th, a lap back from the leaders. And running in 8th, Terry Labonte. Terry's had his luck changed this year. Not to the good. And of course, losing Dale Inman as a crew chief wasn't the best of occasions for him, but his dad has really pitched in, done a good job.
Yeah, they've, I think they're doing pretty good. They're trying to rebuild their whole team. You know, they've had a problem with it this year, and they're just trying to get it all rebuilt.
Well, there you see Harry Gant at number 33. Been on the pole twice here, and there's the 5th place man, Darrell Waltrip. Remember that Waltrip is in 5th, and that Bill Elliott is now running in the 2nd position. Car number 72 in your picture there. That's Sammy Swindell, the Tennessee driver out of the sprint car game. Elliott at number 9 is in 2nd. Earnhardt is in 3rd. And he's a fair distance back. He's back more than a couple of seconds. 2nd place man Elliott.
Bill Elliott said in the newspaper this week that what he'd really like to do is come out of Atlanta having cut Darrell Waltrip's 35-point pre-race lead down to, quote, 15 or 20. Mission accomplished if they throw the checkered flag right now. Bill Elliott has carved 15 points off Darrell Waltrip's lead. Remember, they both led a lap. In fact, Elliott led a lot of laps early in this race. Looked like he was going to run away with it. And then that mystery stop stop that I hope we can find out some more about a little bit later when they came in and said, well, gee, we thought we had something wrong, but it turned out we didn't have anything wrong. Those always make me a little suspicious. At any rate, Elliott is back out there now running second. Waltrip is 3 positions back. That takes 15 points off the lead. What was 35 is now 20, and Bill Elliott has a shot at the 1985 championship.
219 laps will be complete this time by. As the laps trickle down here at the Atlanta International Raceway today, that will leave us with better than 2/3 of the race completed. Chris say they have one more fuel stop under green.
They, the ones that are getting good mileage can make it one more stop. That's what Chris said.
108 laps to go.
And you know Chris.
Here's Cale, still in front. Boy, they came out with a lot of problems at the start of the year. They had been a General Motors operation, went to Ford. It took them a while to get it sorted out, but when they did, they have been tough of recent. Of course, at Rockingham, the last time out, Cale had a disaster. The car began to become ill-handling. The next thing he knew, he rode it into the wall up in turn number 2 and rode it off.
Yeah. I tell you, there's not anybody that's got a stiffer neck about racing than Cale Yarborough.
Now there you see Waltrip in the number 11 car moving up on Richard Petty, and he's going to take the spot. Waltrip climbing ever closer to Bill Elliott. Elliott in second, Earnhardt in third, and now it's Waltrip taking over in fourth as Richard Petty falls to fifth. In sixth is Kyle Petty. 6 cars in the lead lap. Boy, Richard is not giving up. He's got it right up in the marbles that time.
He's got something to run. It showed that when he qualified well, and he's going to stay with it until he tears it up or blows it up.
There's a lot of loose stuff on the outside of a racetrack about this time in the race, and I would think that'd be a rocky ride up there.
Well, they've got a lot of it swept off. By running up there as long as he's been running and having 2 or 3 other cars up there with him, he's cleaned a lot of that off, and they've blown it around over the racetrack. As you can see, he's running right against the wall. I mean, at times he's only maybe 3 feet away or 2 or 3 feet away, and there's just not much left up there.
Six we mentioned earlier, Ken. Best place to win the race from, 5th starting spot. 10 times in the history of this racetrack, dating back to 1960, the 5th place starter has won the race. So who do you suppose qualified up in 5th place today? His best qualifying run in a long time? Number 43, Richard Petty.
Indeed. He surprised himself and all his friends and relatives up around Randleman with that one. They didn't have any time at all to practice before qualifying here. It had rained, and they finally were able to get it in with the briefest of practice. And Richard Petty really did have himself a good qualifying run. Here's Jerry Garrett.
I spoke with Hamba, Darrell Waltrip, crew chief. He says, for the first time today, they really got that car running about like they want it to run. Not spectacular, but it does do a good job. Now for another report down pit road, here's Chris Economaki.
Well, the boys here have got their stopwatches on Bill Elliott. When he broke into second place behind Cale Yarborough, he was 4.17 seconds behind. Now he's just over 1 second behind and running down the leader. Back to you, Ken.
98.98 on the watch up here last time by, so he is definitely closing up on Cale. There have been 6 lead changes among 4 drivers thus far in the Atlanta Journal 500. If you're just joining us, there have thus far been 5 caution periods. The first one came from lap 1 into lap 5 as they turned 42 cars loose under a yellow condition to finish drying up the track from rain, which had fallen all night and on through the morning till about 11:30. We are now at lap 226 of the 328 to be run. Cale Yarborough, the 1980 winner, is in front, but closing all the time is Bill Elliott. He's making his strongest run of the day right now. There you see the leader, number 28, out of turn number 2, and here comes Elliott. And Elliott's trimmed it now to about a half a second.
Well, Cale has led for 93 laps, a total of 93 laps, and Elliott's led 118 laps. So if Elliott's going to pick up his extra 5 points for the most laps led, he's going to have to start doing it pretty quick, or Cale's going to have so many on him to have him shut out.
That's probably the most interesting rivalry of the 1985 season, at least up to the point that Darrell Waltrip got into the picture. I'm talking about the rivalry between Cale Yarborough and Bill Elliott. It was the whole story. for the first half of this campaign. Bill Elliott, been a Ford driver for years. His daddy's a Ford dealer up in Dahlonega, Georgia, or was until he sold the shop earlier this year to concentrate on Bill's racing program. Cale Yarborough, Chevy man for a long time, comes along, gets a big buck, factory Ford deal, lots of wind tunnel time, lots of jealousy, lots of rivalry, and Elliott goes down to Daytona and blows Cale off in the first 500-mile race of the year. All through the first half of the season, Cale kept blowing motors. He and Waddell were frustrated. Elliott ran him down from a lap behind under a green flag at Talladega. Nobody's ever done that to Cale Yarborough. There's a little bad blood between those two cars, and right now the driver of number 28, Cale Yarborough, has the driver of number 9, Bill Elliott, breathing down his neck.
And the blood's beginning to boil now as Cale Yarborough closes up in turns 3 and 4 with number 9, Bill Elliott. Elliott working all the time on the outside. Cale has been running about the middle of the track and down low. Here comes Elliott to the inside to put a lap on Harry Gant. Reeling in, Cale Yarborough. It's Bill Elliott on the bottom of the racetrack. Ford's running 1 and 2 out here today. We also have a Ford back there in the 6th position now with Kyle Petty's car. Now there's clear sailing between the two leaders as this crowd gets a little anxious. This is a Georgia congregation, and they're looking very favorably on their man Bill Elliott to win here today. He's never won the Atlanta Journal 500. He won the spring race of this track, and now they'd like to see him repeat that performance. Closing on Cale in the first turn over the hump. And Elliott's there, closing another car length. 10 Grand National wins this year for Bill Elliott in car number 9. Moves down the back straightaway and closes even further on car number 28. Boy, this is a scramble.
I tell you, Elliott is just really, really strong getting into the third turn. He runs in 2 car lengths deeper than Yarborough does, and that's where he's picking up most of his time.
You see the 2 crew chiefs there. First you saw Waddell Wilson, and you saw Ernie looking on. Cale goes a bit high as they pull up on Rick Wilson. One's going inside, one's going outside. Battle for the lead. Crowd is on its feet and stopping as into the back straightaway. They're running side by side. Elliott on the bottom, Cale on top. What a race. Here they are back in turn number 3. Elliott almost leads, gets a little loose. You can see him fighting the steering wheel. Gaining control as he comes out of turn number 4. Cale wins that one.
Elliott got bumped sideways, run up in the side of Cale. You think Cale lifted?
Not one bit.
Stepped on the gas.
Back they go. Enthusiastic audience here on a cold, rainy day. Elliott going for a record of 11 super speedway wins in a year, tied with Pearson at 10. Here they are back straightaway. Cale Yarborough back in front, the man who's won 83 Grand National races, still in front. Bill Elliott right there. He's won 14 races, 10 of them this year. Here's some of the Waltrip crew kind of waiting this one out. If those two get together, they're in pretty good shape. Remember that Waltrip is 4th overall. Earnhardt is running 3rd. It is a battle for the lead. 294 laps complete next time by. 328 laps the distance. Elliott came all the way to the inside.
Elliott taking a pretty good chance over there, too, when he does that. He may have just stopped and thought about that. Now, wait a minute. We're not racing just for the lead of this thing. We're racing for something more than that, and he kind of backed away from it.
Here he comes again. Elliott closing up by 2 car lengths that time. Well, you wonder when the rubber band is going to snap on this one. Cale going into that corner first. Been here for a long time. He started here in 1962 on this track. Bill Elliott came here for the first time in 1977. George Elliott used to bring his sons down here to watch the Winston Cup Grand National Stars.
Watch Cale race, huh?
Yeah. Ernie doesn't look too perplexed, and now Bill's trying a different line as he takes it to the high side. Ford against Ford. A veteran against a relative newcomer. I don't think he's willing to stay there too much longer. He needs to lead some laps.
Yes, he does. He needs to get up and lead some if he can, but he just, Cale's not cutting him any slack at all. The only place he really catches up on Cale's when he's passing the car.
Petty is on pit road, number 43, Richard Petty. Pulling out of pit road. The 5th place runner in the field is in here. Clock on him. Richard Petty. winner 4 times in the Atlanta Journal 500. Left side rubber, and he's away. 12.5 seconds, and Richard Petty is back to attack.
That's a little bit early.
Now, the leader in the Nationwide program is car number 7. It's Kyle Petty. He's running 6th overall in the race, leading among those who've never won a Winston Cup automobile race. $1,000 bonus, and Kyle Petty and that car number 7. He's had it right up there all day.
I think Richard's stop was a little bit early. He must have had a bad tire. He's some problem with the left rear, it looked like, and they should have ran another 20, 25 laps before they had to pit. That's going to put him a little bit out of sync on pit stop.
Seems impossible. Maybe they might go the entire rest of the distance without a caution, but that could well be the case.
One other thing Richard's done, he's skipped the wall. Somewhere he's got up against the wall because he's got that, if there's an Atlanta stripe, he's got it on the right side. Kyle's in the pits. Kyle's got a headlight door knocked out.
So Kyle Petty is on pit road, and we're back for pit stop period. And number 9 is closing another time going to turn number 1. Elliott making a run still another time at Cale Yarborough. Boy, what a battle we've had all afternoon. It's been a thriller. And right here is where it is at the moment, for the lead, no less. As Cale Yarborough tries to hold off Elliott, and Elliott is determinedly trying to get that lead back and get points for leading the most laps in this race. They could decide this championship, which the drivers consider worth about $1 million, by a matter of 5 points. And that 5-point bonus for leading the most laps. Walter doesn't stand a chance at it now. He has not led today. He's been a follower. Elliott has led a lot of laps, and the other man that's done that is Cale Yarborough. And Elliott just can't deal with his car number 28 right now. Car number 71, Dave Marcus, is coming back on the track. Car all thrashed, but he's back. More of the action of the Atlanta Journal 500 on the Superstation after these words.
Promotional fee and consideration paid by Barclays American.
Barclays American loans money for bill consolidations, boats, cars, and Barclays American has a track record to prove it. Way to go, Otis.
Wrong number.
And by Skoal Bandits, the convenient way to go smokeless with a great taste of wintergreen or Met. That's Skoal Bandits. And by STP. For nearly 3 decades, America has been driving and winning with STP.
STP is the racer's edge.
And by which national brand antifreeze has Aluguard, the first formulation approved by Old
International Raceway. You're watching the Atlanta Journal 500. Cale Yarborough is leading Bill Elliott. We've talked so much today about the race within a race. Here is the race within a race within a race. Cale Yarborough has led 113 laps. Bill Elliott has led 118. Put another one in the book for Yarborough right there by our tally. That's 114. 4 laps from now, Yarborough will equal Elliott for having led the most laps. Now, why is that important? Well, there's a 5-point bonus there, and that's the story of the championship. Here's the defending champion in the pits. That is Dale Earnhardt. Ken Squire picked up the action.
Cale Yarborough seeking his 3rd win of the year. One at Talladega, one at Charlotte, trying to fend off Bill Elliott, who had his 2nd win of the campaign after winning at Daytona on this racetrack back in the spring. Sachet in the back end of number 28. Yarborough. Elliott keeps on attacking, but at the present time, he can't get rid of Bill Elliott. Stays right there, holds on to it. Lionel Wilson doesn't look overly concerned. He's seen a lot of these races. Likes Yarborough's style. He knows that Yarborough will use every bit of that race car. Seldom ever overuses it.
Okay, down here at Bill Elliott's pit, they're getting ready for the pit stop at 261 laps, and it's maybe the pit crew to do what Bill Elliott can't do and get him ahead of Cale Yarborough. He needs to get ahead to lead those laps and win that extra 5 points. He could at the end of the season mean the championship. Back to you, Ken.
Championship for sure will be decided at Riverside, California in 2 weeks. And you'll see it live here on the Superstation when he'll go for it. Waltrip versus Elliott, 1-on-1 to decide the Winston Cup title for 1985. Meanwhile, here today, Cale Yarborough leads this event by just that much over car number 9. Richard Petty is back on pit road another time in car number 43. There you see the Petty car in for right side rubber. Meanwhile, those 2 leaders, Cale Yarborough and Bill Elliott have their own thing going this afternoon. Richard Petty, as you'll recall, has been up here running with the leaders. He's now fallen back to 8th position.
That's
Kyle
a shame.
Petty's
Having a lot of confusion in the pit stop. That's a lot of problems. I don't know if they checked it. They didn't know if it was tire bad or whatever, and they checked it, and then had to bring out to make the decision of what they wanted to do. But there was a lot of confusion in it.
Jerry Garrett, what about Cale Yarborough's strategy from here to the end?
Well, they want to come in, Ken, in about 12 laps, because the race goes 500 miles, means they can go all the rest of the way without any more pit stops. If everything goes according to plan, they'll change these right side tires only and not make a chassis adjustment. They're happy with the chassis.
250 of 328 laps now complete, and we're back to the pit stops, and they will be crucial. Everybody's got to stop. Watch out for these.
Earnhardt come out after his tire change, and he's going to foil a little bit of this race here for a minute. He's going to get in there, and he'll hold Elliott up as he goes by him, and then he'll hold Cale up as he goes by him. So should keep it all even.
Cale Yarborough, by our tally, has now led more laps of the Atlanta Journal 500 than has Bill Elliott. That time across the stripe, by our count, Cale Yarborough with 119 laps led, surpassing Bill Elliott's total of 118. Subtract, for the moment, 5 points from Bill Elliott's total. Remember, there is a bonus for leading a lap. Elliott got that early in the race. So did his championship rival, Darrell Waltrip. Now, the battle is to lead the most laps. Waltrip has no chance at that, but Elliott does. He needs those 5 points, but for the moment, just as Dick Brooks called it, he's being held up by Dale Earnhardt, and he's watching Cale Yarborough disappear up there.
Pit stops will be the order of the day momentarily as Cale Yarborough leads. Bill Elliott is in second. Waltrip is in third. Harry Gant now reported in fifth. Harry Gant in fourth. Morgan Shepherd in fifth. Dale Earnhardt in sixth. Terry Labonte in seventh. Richard Petty in eighth. Kyle Petty in ninth. Craig Sachs 10th. Lake Speed 11th. In the 12th spot is Buddy Baker, and going 13th is Bobby Allison. 14th Neil Bonnet. 15th Kenny Schrader. 16th Bill Parsons. And running in the 17th spot, Rusty Wallace.
Well, we don't have to be said that Earnhardt ever helped anybody, but he sure put the brakes on Elliott's car. I tell you, Earnhardt's a little bit slower right in the middle of the corner, and Elliott can drive in on him, but Earnhardt's holding him up. So
can Earnhardt go home from here? He made that pit stop we saw him make.
I don't know. That's going to be awful close. He's going to have to be getting awful good fuel mileage.
Craig Sachs just fitted car number 77, and we're getting set for Cale Yarborough on pit road. Here you see him bouncing down onto the apron. Cale Yarborough, who's been leading Bill Elliott, now takes over in the first position.
I guess they felt that this was the best time to come in because of what Earnhardt's doing to Elliott.
All right, let's go down to the Cale Yarborough pits. He's there. Clock running. Right side rubber. Fuel in. Cleaning off the windshield. Darkness settling in over the track on a very gray day. Jerry Garrett.
To change the right side tires, no chassis adjustment, just like we predicted, but they did stop a couple laps sooner than they wanted to. I don't know if they can go the rest of the way with one stop.
Well, I think they may be able to go, but you know the Fords can't run quite as far as the Chevrolets can anyway, and I think maybe they thought, well, since Earnhardt was holding Elliott back the way he was, or causing him, not holding him back, but causing a problem for him, then this was a good time to get in because Elliott couldn't make up any extra time on him.
Average speed is 140.392 miles per hour. Cale is now pitted. We're waiting on Elliott to make his pit stop, and Waltrip now maintaining the third position. That may change. With Elliott first, Waltrip second, Yarborough third after that pit stop. I wonder where they're going to put the Earnhardt car after that pit stop. Let's wait for just a moment on scoring on that. We know that in front is Elliott and Waltrip. There's the Earnhardt number 3, just barely in front of Bill Elliott's number 9. Darrell Waltrip's number 11 in the second position. Bill Parsons has just pitted his car number 66. Time running out. 255 laps have now been completed. Alan Kulwicki pitting, and he's coming on another time. They had to push Parsons out to get him going again.
He may have run out of fuel. These guys may be stretching it quite a way.
There you see Elliott around the number 33 in the backside, going for that 11th win, all-time record in Superspeedway wins, if he can win it today.
Elliott's really having a problem. He ran in that time and Gant went underneath him, and the wind got him upset and really sent him up high. So if Yarborough can continue to run good and smooth on his tires, that means that he's got a good set of left side tires. If Elliott comes in and changes tires and doesn't run really smooth, that means his left side tires are hot. They've been saying that left sides are wearing. So this thing could really turn around in a few minutes. We'll see what happens after the stop.
Cale Yarborough traipsing back up through the field again after that stop, leading, well-executed pit stop as you saw. And now he's making another run to get back up into the lead. Here comes the number 9 of Bill Elliott, and this is the critical pit stop. Elliott on pit road, and let's go to Chris Economac.
Okay, they're hoisting up the tires. The gasoline is at the ready, and in he comes for hopefully the last and perhaps the most crucial pit stop of the day. On the way, not once today has the ready been put on this car. It has not been the first chassis adjustment made. The windshield's been cleaned, tires have been changed, gas has been added, and that's all that's been done for Bill Elliott, except two things in a hurry. He's on his way, and let's see how long that pit stop was. 16 and 5/100 seconds. Not too fast. Back to you, Ken.
You can see the difference of that 2 seconds, too, because Yarborough went by while Elliott was still in the pit. So it's 2 seconds is a long ways around a racetrack.
Darrell Waltrip on pit road. Led momentarily. Now he's pitting car number 11. And the Junior Johnson gang ready to service him as Bodine comes out.
That's going to make a little bit of difference because he's had a little trouble making that turn. It won't show really on the clock here, but he had to slow down a little bit more getting in and make a good tight turn getting in.
Seconds ticking away, and they have him out at 14.6. Typical Junior Johnson pit stop late in the going. Roll him out of there with 2 tires and fuel in 14 and 6/10 seconds. We'll be back with more of the Atlanta Journal 500. Atlanta International Raceway after the pit stops. Cale Yarborough is in front. 262 laps complete. Bill Elliott is fast overtaking him. There you see Elliott, who's rapidly making up ground on Yarborough. Running third is Harry Gant. Fourth is Morgan Shepherd. And fifth is Waltrip. Gant and Shepherd have yet to pit. When they come in, that'll put Waltrip back into third. But the story is right here in this battle for the lead. It is Yarborough in first after they both pitted. But the man who's making up time as if midnight is setting in and it's the 11th hour is car number 9, Bill Elliott. What a charge he is making. Down into turn number 1. Elliott is there within 4 car lengths. Make that 3 car lengths.
Allison's going back behind the wall. He's had a long, hard day, and he just finally going to put it to rest.
Bobby Allison goes back to the garage area. Elliott goes to the high side. Closes on Cale Yarborough. Lap 266 complete when they come by this time. Both cars a little twitchy as they come down the main straightaway. Into turn number 1. Elliott on the high side looking for a little room, just any kind of interval. He closes, inches up alongside Cale. Cale has won 2 races this year. Elliott 10. Elliott can break the super speedway record if he wins today. They're side by side in the back straightaway. Give it to number 9. Elliott going into turn number 3. On the high side. Awesome Bill from Dawsonville is looking mighty awesome right now, but Cale is back. Low side, ready to go for it another time. And they're even out of 4. Down they come to the line. To the stripe, it will be car number 9. Bill Elliott going into turn number 1. Cale ducks down low in the first turn. But Bill Elliott about to lap Kyle Petty in car number 7 is the man of the hour. He's up in front. Cale's turn to run in second place. Kyle Petty running in 8th position overall, being overlapped by the 2 leaders.
I think since Bill passed him on the outside, as soon as he gets back down the groove, I think he's going to be gone.
Before the round of pit stops, Dale Inman, you made an observation about the fact that Elliott could run up at Waltrip but couldn't get by. They both pitted, they come back out. We saw what just happened. Any theories?
Well, Bill caught Cale before. The time before he could not pass him. This time he got by him, and I think, like Dick said, he'll motor away this time. And I believe Cale might have to stop again for gas, and I'm just about positive Bill can make it, and I'm sure Darrell can make it. Everybody else will probably have to stop.
You were questioning on the Yarborough stop, though, whether or not he could get in, and Jerry Garrett raised that same issue.
I think it's going to be a real close.
Bad wreck in turn 3. There is a serious wreck in the third turn. Kyle Petty has crashed. And who else else is up there?
I think it's a 72 car.
Well, it's a 72 car. That's Sammy Swindell. I think you're right, Richard. This caution comes out at lap 268. Believe that's a big break for Harry Gant here.
Well, he didn't. Well, it is.
Harry
has not pitted yet.
It's going to keep them right in the hunt.
Yes, it certainly will.
All right, we'll have 5 cars in the lead lap after this caution. After 2 cars bang up into the wall at turn number 3. Swindell. Here's the replay.
Boy, look at Richard. That's one of them puckering jobs.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath when that happens.
Yes, you do. Don't breathe for a while.
Here's Cale quickly into the pits, and here's number 9, Bill Elliott in. More adjustments on both of those lead cars as they square off. Taking no chances. Topping the tank on Bill Elliott's car. Here's Chris.
Standing here studying, trying to figure out this contest, and away Elliott goes. This again should be the last. And the impressive thing here in Bill Elliott's pit is the fact that the crew, family, rarely speaks with one another. They nod, they look one another. There's no conversation. It hasn't been since the race started. And yet look at the work they've been doing. He's got back there, and Bill Elliott is on the track all alone. If there's no more yellow flags, the crew here has had its day. Back to you, Ken.
Talk about your synchronized pit stops. Those top crews, I always favored watching the Bud Moore team. I always thought he really got them in and out as good as anyone. We'll be back with more of the action from the Atlanta International Raceway with now 270 laps complete. Cale, Yarborough, and Elliott putting on a scramble after these words. Here at the Atlanta International Raceway, gray at the moment for Kyle Petty, who apparently is injured on knees, being taken back or a leg to the field hospital. He hopped over to the ambulance and climbed into it. Let's go now to Bob Barsher, who's standing by with some news updates on other motorsports from the GM Goodwrench Motor Week News Center.
Thank you, Ken. A little reminder, we told you earlier, K.K. Rosberg of Finland won the final Formula One event of the year, the Australian Grand Prix in Adelaide, Australia. Here in the United States, the Sports Car Club of America is winding up its Pro Series for the year. That going on a street course in St. Petersburg, Florida. In preliminary action, Randy Popes won the Volkswagen Cup race. Mark Wyborny, the Sports Renault title, and Riley Hopkins won the Eastern Formula Atlantic title for the year. In the Can-Am Championship just finished, Dr. Lou Stell of Kia Kakalua, Hawaii won the Can-Am race. Next event in the SCCA finale for the year, the Trans Am cars are on the course. Willie T. Ribbs has the pole. Series champ Wally Dallenbach Jr. is outside. Last year's champ Tom Bloy in third, and that should be a good race. Yesterday here at AIR, the Automobile Racing Clubs of America, the ARCA stock cars ran 300 miles. That was a great race. New ARCA champion Lee Raymond survived the late crash with 3 laps to go, lost the tire, ran 3 laps on the rim to take the checker flag. Bob Pemrod, an Atlanta driver, was hurt in that wreck, but he was later released from a hospital, and we're happy to say that he's okay. And finally, in dirt racing, Jack Hewitt is the winner of a 40-lap winged sprint car feature run at Dixie Speedway just north of Atlanta. Hewitt led the race from wire to wire. That's it for now. We'll have more on our next edition of the GM Goodwrench Motor Week Illustrated Racing Update. Ken?
Thanks, Bob Barsher. 275 laps complete next time by of the 328 laps to be run. Sammy Swindell came out okay. Kyle Petty has gone to the field hospital after car number 7 was in collision with the Swindell car. Kyle really had a great day going, and fate keeps playing bad games with him.
They've just pretty well got their act together this year. I mean, it doesn't look like it there, sitting there all crumpled up, but they've ran better and better as the year went on, and they're going to put it together one of these days.
Harry Gant pitted just before that caution, so he is still a lap down. We have 4 cars running the lead lap. Yarborough first, Bill Elliott second, Earnhardt third, Waltrip fourth is the report. Gant is in fifth, Morgan Shepherd sixth, Terry Labonte seventh, Greg Sachs eighth, Lake Speed ninth, followed by Richard Petty, Buddy Baker, Neil Bonnet at this point.
Well, Neil's having a pretty good run. You know, they start off as bad as they were at the beginning, and he finally kept the thing halfway together all day.
Let's go to Dave Despain.
We're in the STP Pit Communications Center, and Dale Edmond, when they're out there on the racetrack, they're all just racers, but every once in a while it's family out there for the Petty clan. I guess you got to be a little concerned about Kyle's situation.
Well, the good thing about it, he did hobble to the ambulance himself, and, you know, it could be a sprain, it could be a bad bruise, or he could have a cut. But these drivers are pretty tough, and they know the danger involved in this, and, of course, he'll be back.
Dale Inman and Richard Petty, of course, are cousins, and Kyle is Richard's son, and it's all part of the greatest stock car racing family in history from down at Level Cross, North Carolina. We're at Atlanta International Raceway, where the Atlanta Journal 500 is winding down. Stay tuned.
This afternoon in the Atlanta Journal 500 of the 328 that mark the distance at 500 miles. Let's get a late report from Chris Economaki.
I'm outside the field hospital with Sammy Swindell, who was involved in that turn 4 accident with Kyle Petty. What happened up there, Sammy?
Well, went in the corner and the right front just blew out. The thing just popped. It, it made a loud noise and it just went straight. And Kyle was on the outside of me and really didn't have any place to go. And that's.
He hobbled out of the ambulance and was picked up and carried here to the first aid room. You know what's wrong with him?
Well, he hit his knee on something. He was having a little trouble with that. But, he bumped something in the car.
Nothing serious, though?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, Sammy, you're a sprint car man of a lot of fans around the country. Big difference driving your first Grand National race. Car weighs more than twice what a sprint car weighs.
Yeah, we'd really hadn't got the car as good as we'd like to have it. Our Sizzler Monte Carlo was running pretty good. We had a little trouble with a fuel line. It started collapsing on us, or it got the vapor locking, and the thing finally quit on us, and we went behind the wall and replaced it and came back out and sort of running.
Sammy, your sprint car fans are wondering whether this is going to be what racing you do in the future, or you're going to go back to the sprint car.
Well, I'd like to come down here and run some more. This being the first time, we were having a good time, but I'd like to come back and try it a few more times.
Okay, good luck to you, Sammy Swindell, and thank you. Back to you, Ken.
50 laps to go, averaging 140 miles an hour before this caution period, which was marked as the 6th of the day after this incident in turn number 3 and 4. We're ready on a restart, and there you see them lining up on the back straightaway in the front 4 all together on the outside. They are Cale Yarborough in number 28, Bill Elliott number 9 in 2nd. Dale Earnhardt is 3rd, and Darrell Waltrip is in 4th. A lap down in 5th is Harry Gant with Morgan Shepherd in 6th, Terry Labonte 7th, Craig Sachs in 8th.
They're going to black flag Harry Gant. He passed the car on the inside, and you can't do that. He was allowed to move up, but he couldn't pass the car on the inside that he passed, so they're going to call him back.
9th is Lake Speed in the restart. 10th is Richard Petty. 11th, Ken Schrader. 12th, Neil Bonnet. 13th, Jeff Bodine. 14th, Buddy Baker. 15th, Tim Richmond. 16th, Ron Bouchard. 17th, Rusty Wallace, as they take the flag, and we get down to payoff time in the Atlanta Journal 500. Consultation flag is out on Gant. The light goes on underneath the flag stand.
I tell you, it's all right to do that, but you can't do it right in front of the officials. I mean, he did it right in front of us, so they caught him.
Black flag on Gant. Wasn't in the right position, as Richard Brooks told you. Here's Cale Yarborough out in front. Closing quickly is number 3. As they come around Jerry Garrett, how was that last Cale Yarborough stop? Everything okay with him?
Well, they said that they made everything the way they wanted. They put on left side tires. They didn't make a chassis adjustment. Ready to go to the finish. It sure eliminated a lot of uncertainty about fuel mileage. They can go all the way now.
No uncertainty on fuel mileage. And again, it's those Fords running to the 1st and 2nd position as they come out of turn number 2. Into the back straightaway, you watch this intercompany squabble going on. Cale out in front. Here comes Elliott, hooked right up on the bottom of the racetrack, and that number 9 closing up on that rear quarter panel. Inches away at 160 miles an hour into the main straightaway. Elliott there. Claws his way up on the bottom. He's going to go for the lead at turn 1. Elliott goes back into the lead. Bill Elliott trying to set at the number 33 on pit road, quickly coming back out again. Black flag was put on him. Consultation flag. He literally came in, stopped, and was sent back on his way. At turn 3, the leaders. Earnhardt is 3rd. Waltrip is 4th. Leaders back in the main straightaway. Tagging right along behind the front 4 is Morgan Shepherd, now in that 5th position. Waddell Wilson looking on a bit concerned. Doesn't seem to raise a hair. There you see number 3, Earnhardt in 3rd. Then you see Waltrip, the number 11, is the 4th place car. Running about 10 car lengths back from 1st and 2nd. And Elliott is drawing away from Yarborough. The car on the end of that is Morgan Shepherd, 1 lap down. Main straightaway. Laps running down. Will it stay together for Bill Elliott today? Or will this bad luck that began right after Darlington, they began to have those finishes back in 20th and 21st and 34th, happen again today? He's had the monkey on his back. He's hoping to get rid of it this afternoon. He's in the back straightaway, and he's pulling away from Yarborough. Every kind of demon conceivable has been attacking this man, although the engines have been performing flawlessly. Those other little things that get you in racing that have been bothering Elliott after that great run through the first two-thirds of the season.
I think that's one of the biggest problems with Waddell. Waddell is known to be probably, or thought to be probably the best, or certainly one of the best engine builders in the business. And they changed over to Ford, and they started having a lot of trouble with it, and they just couldn't seem to really get their act together. And Elliott and them has gone 2 full years and never really lost an engine during the race. That's just unheard of. Nobody's ever done that before. So it's got a lot of people shaking their head.
Last lap at 163 miles per hour.
Bill Elliott leading the race. Just a moment ago, you saw Darrell Waltrip move around Dale Earnhardt. The situation now is this. We have Bill Elliott leading the race over Cale Yarborough, and we have Darrell Waltrip moving up into third spot. Again, 5 points for position, and so that means that the interval now, the point difference, the gain that Bill Elliott stands to make here today is presently 15 points. Let me put it another way. Waltrip came in here leading by 35. Right now, Bill Elliott has carved 15 points off that difference, and so making a 20-point difference. Key thing is this. Bill Elliott right there crossing the stripe picks up the 133rd lap that he has led. 4 laps from now, he will pass Cale Yarborough in that category and have led the most laps in the race. That's another 5-point bonus, and at that point, he would have cut Darrell Waltrip's point lead down to 15 points. Now, Bill is getting tired of having to do all that mathematics. He's tired of people talking about the championship. He's been scrambling after this thing all year long. He's proud of the year that they've had. But Bill Elliott is looking forward to the end of this season, whether he wins or loses that championship.
A lot of things have happened to our team this year, and we've learned a lot about racing and understanding what goes on within racing. And with the season we've had, you know, you're going to be in a spotlight and things are going to happen. So I'll just be glad when it's over and we can kind of get away from it, settle down, get retrieved a little bit, and then start back next year.
Win or lose, it will be decided in 2 weeks from today at Riverside, California, and you'll see it here on the Superstation WTBS. Right now, Elliott is in front. We'll give you the point update as we get down to the end of this one. 288 laps have now been completed. And they say that they're beginning to get some rain not only around the racetrack at 3 or 4, but down at the STP Pit Center as well. And that perhaps is why the last lap was run at 163 miles per hour. A frantic effort by Bill Elliott to draw away from the rest of the field, isolate himself from the rest of those campaigners as we get down to what could be a curtailed event this afternoon.
Well, it sure could. If it comes to raining a little bit, then it's going to change a lot of things. It's going to make sure that he's led the most laps, because in another lap he will have done that. So that gains his 5 points that Dave was talking about. And it just going to change a lot of things.
Elliott is in front. Yarborough is in second. Waltrip is in third. Earnhardt is in fourth. 1 lap back. In 5th spot is Morgan Shepherd. 6th, Terry Labonte. 7th, Greg Sachs. 8th is Lake Speed. 9th is Harry Gant after that additional pit stop. Then in 10th, Richard Petty. 11th is Ken Schrader. 12th is Neil Bonnet.
I'll tell you, these guys have really, really done their job. Elliott was talking about people bothering him and the press on him so much, and he's having to go all the time and work for people to sell a product and what have you, and he just didn't have time to take care of his car. Well, he had a couple weeks off, and he went home and took care of his car, I expect, because he's sure hooked up now.
Take a look at, here's 11 Waltrip, but the interesting story here to me is car number 16, Morgan Shepherd. He had a great run at Charlotte, North Carolina going, and then a flat tire cost him a lap. Same things happened here today, or he could have had a shot at victory lane with that car.
He's had a very, very good run. We talked about it earlier. That's a good team and good car, and they've just had some mechanical problems with it. David Pearson drove for those guys for a while and sat on the pole a couple times with them. Then they have mechanical problems, but they're running good today, and they've been here all day.
Dale Earnhardt seems to have overcome his problems with engines earlier this year. He went through 9 engines thus far on this campaign as we get down to these last races of the year. This week, Atlanta, then the 28th and grand finale, Riverside, California. And they seem to have their problems rectified in that department the way he's running today.
They sure have.
Here's Cale chasing. You can see the interval, first to second now. Decision time. 292 laps have been completed this afternoon. Can't believe, you know, a lot of people question that point, including Waltrip all season long, that point standing system where they don't give more points to those guys that win races. How do you feel about that?
I think it's pretty fair. I think they're given if they separated it a long ways from first to second, they'd really be in trouble this year if they had a big separation, 20 or 30 points.
I think Darrell's point about how it keeps it in front of the public and keeps it a newsworthy event right to the last race of the season is well taken. And he, even though Elliott was leading for some time, was still saying the same thing, that Elliott should have been given more points. Well, there's the Nationwide's car, which is leading, excuse me, Richard, in the standings put up in that up-and-coming award that Nationwide gives of $1,000 in merchandise from their stores. And it's their own driver, Lake Speed, who is running 6 overall, that's leading in the up-and-coming award for drivers who have never won a Grand National race. Rather a Winston Cup race. Now, they've changed the name. They will no longer be called Grand National come 1986.
Oh, Winston Cup.
How do you feel about this?
Well, I think it's good. I think R.J. Reynolds has made the sport basically what we see today, I think. I'm not degrading anything that NASCAR's done, but R.J. Reynolds has come in and they put a lot of money into it, a lot of promotion into it, and they should get recognition out of it. So I think it's good.
So, the Winston Cup leader at the present time in the standings. As we get down to the very last race, and that Winston Western 500 out in Riverside, California, Darrell Waltrip is back in third, and the man who has the shot at taking it away from him is right there, Bill Elliott, leading the event. There you see Waltrip. And he said all day he would be willing to sit here and give up a few points and just follow this man. Just be around right at the finish, looking over his shoulder, so they could get down to Riverside, California, and square off in a heavyweight championship bout to decide it all.
Well, I think this is the closest that they've came in the last 4 or 5 years, or if they finishes this the way, the closest that the championship has gone to Riverside with. But Waltrip is right about one thing. You got to be the leader, because that makes the other guy push harder, makes the other guy stay in front of you all the time. Some of the worst things I've ever done in my life was bet my car against some other car, because I end up racing that car all day. I don't pay attention to the rest of it. You know, you bet for $10. You know, what the heck's $10? But you make a $10 bet, and you end up running that car all day. And Waltrip is the same way. If he's out front, then that forces Elliott to race that car, and they make a difference.
I don't believe there's a chance at all that Waltrip could gain the time back. There's 296 laps complete here. Let's check that out with Gary Garrett right now.
We're down here with Jeff Mammoth. Jeff, Darrell's gone from 4th to 3rd the last few laps. Can he go to the front?
Well, we're working on it right now. Bill's awful strong, and so is Cale. But we're hoping we get close enough. Maybe we get a little bit of grass off Cale and get on up to him, if nothing else, and maybe go for second place. Right now, we've got a few more laps to go, so you don't tell them what's going to really happen. But right now, we're pretty much lead. We just get just a little bit closer.
We seem to be catching up a little bit, Ken.
Here's Dave Despain at the STP Pit Center.
Hammond said right there, the key words to me were that we're real happy with the way things have gone. The point for Darrell Waltrip today is they have absolutely, whether they finish 3rd, 4th, even if they finish 5th, they have snatched a moral victory from the jaws of defeat. Remember that was an ill-handling race car that was running outside the top 20 early in this race, and at the same time that was happening, Bill Elliott was up front and running away. The picture changed dramatically a couple of different ways. Elliott had a problem. He got back into the pack. Waltrip got sorted out. He came back up through the pack. Hammond and the boys have never, ever quit working at it. And in the big picture, Darrell Waltrip has definitely come up with a mighty good situation here, sitting in 3rd spot. That's going to be the story of this race. Who's going to win the race? Who's going to win the championship? And we're close to the answer. We're in the STP Pit Communication Center, Atlanta International Raceway. 303 laps into the schedule, 324 that will make up the Atlanta Journal 500. Are you believing this? We're going to get this thing in the full distance today after all this threat of rain. Right now, Bill Elliott is running up front, and there may be a big victory celebration tonight right here on CBS Sports. The Coors Sports page tonight at 10:05, and all of the Elliots will be there. George, Bill, Ernie, Dan, they're all coming down to talk about today's race live on CBS. So stay tuned for that. We've got the action here, and of course, we'll follow the action all the way down to the series finale at Riverside, where the championship will be decided. Elliott currently leading the event. Standing in second spot is Cale Yarborough, and third is Darrell Waltrip. Out of the race, a man who looked like he had a shot at winning it, Kyle Petty, is with Chris Economac.
Well, we just spoke with Kyle Petty's wife, Patty. She sort of had a smile on her face, and she said he has a bad rap on one leg and knee. The bone may be broken, and they're going to take him to the hospital in uptown Atlanta. She says, but the most aggravating injury he has is he bit his tongue. He can't talk. He's sore around the mouth. They're expecting a second child around NASCAR banquet time, and she's concerned. Back to you.
Bill Elliott leading now with 306 laps complete. Gee, I'm not talking Kyle Petty.
A concerned Patty about a child being born at the same time as the convention.
Cale Yarborough in that second position. Darrell Waltrip stays third. Dale Earnhardt fourth. 307 laps complete of 328 this time by. Elliott, who's won only a couple of races in the last 8. Waltrip has won a couple in the last 8. This race was seen as a real decision maker. When you look back to Bristol and come up through the figures since then, that's where the problems have arisen for Bill Elliott in his effort to win the championship. And we're at the end of the year. The Junior Johnson team for car number 11 have thrust Darrell Waltrip right back up on top as they try to win the crown for the third time for Darrell Waltrip. The only team to ever win it 3 years in a row. They did it with Cale Yarborough. And Junior Johnson seems to have the combination at the moment. But in this race today, as we watch them coming out of turn number 4 and down the main straightaway, the man of the hour is Bill Elliott. And in front of this crowd here in Georgia, they couldn't be happier about it. Bill Elliott has an opinion on what has turned his career around at this Atlanta International Raceway, and this is what he's told me.
Well, I think, one, getting Melling as a sponsor. Then in at the end of 83, getting Coors as sponsor for 84. And plus learning a little bit more about the racetrack each time I came back. The team getting better as far as the team goes. I think that's the biggest thing that really helped me turn it around here.
He finished 11th in his third Atlanta Journal 5-star. Remember, those were those cars he purchased from Roger Penske. He actually made his first run here back in 1977. And as we told you earlier, his best finish in this race was a year ago when he came to the pole and came home in second.
They didn't do much when they first came. They just never had any trouble. He never crashed. He just, you know, people would talk about he run the same car race after race after race and never skin it up and never have to repaint it. And then they just slowly got better and better. And all of a sudden they sat on the pole at Darlington. And then from then on, it just got stronger and stronger. And this year, of course, it's just been awesome.
1977, he finished 10th over there at Southern 500 at Darlington, and 500 at Charlotte, and was 11th here that autumn, and you knew things were beginning to happen. Here he is, last lap at 100. Now, he's turned the wick down. He did some laps at 163 when we had that potential of rain. That seems to have gone away a little, but those crowds are so gray and so thick and so low now, you feel that at any moment you're going to have a shower on your hands here, that we wouldn't get to race the full 500 miles. Actually, it's been that way almost all day. In fact, they had predicted before the race began they might get in 20 or 30 laps and have a squall come through. Somehow it's bypassed. It's circulated around here. Thank you, Juan.
One of the problems they're having now, one of the problems the drivers is having, is the windshields are pitted up pretty bad, and it is dark. It's almost, it's almost dark enough to turn some lights on, and with the pits in the windshields and the oil and the dirt and stuff, if you had a tinted windshield and you've got a tinted visor or tinted goggles, they're actually having trouble seeing the groove on the racetrack all the time.
Down toward the finish, 311 of 328 laps are now complete as Bill Elliott tries to close on Darrell Waltrip. And they will be just a few feet apart on the track, literally, as far as the points are concerned, when we get to Riverside, California in 2 weeks to decide it all. It's 500 kilometers of action on a 9-turn course, and you'll see it here on the Superstation if you can't be in California. More in a moment.
In the STC Pit Communications Center at Atlanta International Raceway, which is under a very, very dark cloud here and has been for 4 days. Actually, it's been more than that. It's been a week. We have had rain from Hurricane Juan But I'll tell you what, there's a bright side and a downside to this whole story. The bright side is that we weren't supposed to run here at all. It was supposed to rain Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It in fact rained Thursday, washed out practice and qualifying. But since then, we've had rain at night. We have lost only 1/2 hour of track time through the entire weekend. This race today is run with absolutely no rain. Great story, right? Well, except for one little problem. We had 2 in-car cameras today, not 1 but 2. And the Alugaard car of Rusty Wallace and the Copenhagen car of Benny Parsons. They were all set to bring you pictures. Mel Larson, the former racer, flew in here in a helicopter all the way from Las Vegas. And the FAA says you're not taking that chopper above 500 feet in this soup. It's got to be up there about 2,000 to 3,000 feet in order to relay the microwave signal from the in-car camera back to the truck so that we in turn can send it to you. And unfortunately, we've not been able to do that. So that's been the only real sad downside story of the rain here. That and perhaps the fact that, I don't know, 50 or 60,000 people are going to have to try to figure out how to get their cars out of all that mud.
And that is going to be a major issue. 10 laps to go. And what is about to happen will dwarf anything in stock car racing history. 1973, David Pearson won 10 super speedway races in 15 starts. Of course, he did it in 76, but they had 2 races that year out of Riverside, California. But now we're about to see Bill Elliott, if things just hang together, win 11 super speedway races on a 28-race effort here, rather not on a 28-race effort, because that includes all the short tracks, Bristol and Martinsville and Richmond, Virginia. 11 super speedway marks. That's the one that they're going to be after from now on, as Bill Elliott is going to do it today. In the last 8 races of this year, it's switched around for Bill Elliott after that tremendous start that he had. He went into that Southern 500 and had his problems after the Southern 500. Won the $1 million there in that race, but then in the Wrangler 400 it was 12th, and at Dover it was 20th, and in the Goodies 500 17th, and 30th up at North Wilkesboro. Then he's begun to come back. At the Miller 500 they had in Charlotte, North Carolina, he had himself a 2nd. And in Rockingham, the Nationwide 500, he had himself a 4th. And here he is winning today. You think he can win again at Riverside, California? That's what it's going to have to take.
Well, I don't. I made the prediction that Darrell and Junior Johnson would win the points. I think that's probably going to happen. I still think that Elliott's got to run him. He's got to beat him. He's going to have to beat him by 15 points. And I think that's a big disadvantage.
321 laps are completed of 328. Richard Brooks with us. Elliott's in 1st. Yarborough is in 2nd. Waltrip's in 3rd. Earnhardt's in 4th. Morgan Shepherd 5th. Labonte 6th. Lake Speed in 7th. Greg Sachs is 8th. Harry Gant 9th. Richard Petty 10th. Bodine 11th. Buddy Baker 12th. Bonnet in 13th. Kenny Schrader 14th. Let's take a look right now as we see the leader coming out of turn number 4. At some of the attrition in today's race, Mike Waltrip got really wrapped in a crash with Clark Dwyer and A.J. Foyt down here in turn number 1. Davey Allison out. Trevor Boyce is retired. Benny Parsons had a short day. Tommy Ellis is out after some problems with his car. Bobby Allison, Ricky Rudd. Sad story there. What a run he made. I'd have put him up for a Goodies Award. Kyle Petty is out. May have a break in either his foot or his leg. We're trying to get more information on that in a crash just moments ago with Sammy Swindell. Here is Bill Elliott circling around Atlanta International Raceway, and this crowd turned out on this miserable, dismal day because they wanted to see this man and what he was going to do with Darrell Waltrip in their battle for the championship. It's misting heavily all around the track, not raining. Down goes Darrell Waltrip into turn number 1. He and Morgan Shepherd have been locked together lap after lap. Remember, they stay in 3rd. Meanwhile, Bill Elliott stays up in front. Cale Yarborough is in 2nd, and the interval's pretty handsome between those two. The word from the press box is that Kyle Petty has received the Goodies Headache Award today. After that incident up here running so well till late in the race, then Sammy Swindell cut a tire down, and what a headache, and a cut tongue as well as a possible fracture in the leg for Kyle Petty today. Wins him that prize from Goodies.
The only thing wrong with that, he won't be able to say thank you.
That's right. But if he has a cut tongue, he's going to need a lot of Goodies.
That's right, a lot of Goodies.
Elliott leading Cale Yarborough by 4 8/10 of a second. As the laps dwindle, 3:24 now complete, 3:28 the distance today. Cale looked like he had them covered briefly. Then Elliott made this tremendous comeback, and he surges out of turn number 4. That car looking just as healthy and right out here on the track as it did when it began. A lot of moxie in that team. The point that Economaki made earlier about that they didn't talk at all. They just simply went about their job. Not a word spoken among them all day, and they pushed this car out through the pits time after time in 16 seconds or less. That Elliott team is just remarkable.
They make decisions, and they make them very quick and very accurate. They don't discuss them. Somebody makes a decision, and they do it. Talked about them coming in earlier and checking the right side tires, and Dave said, well, it kind of concerned him because he didn't know for sure there's something wrong or not. Well, they do those things. They just do them right, and to get them done.
Well, they've certainly got it done right here today, Dick, no doubt about it. And I keep coming back to the fact that so much of a championship battle is the tempo, the mood, the momentum it's frequently called in sports. We're not seeing anything different here today than what we've seen all year long out of Bill Elliott and this team. They have dominated the super speedway races. They have cleaned house on the super speedway races. Darrell Waltrip's been a back-in-the-pack guy on the super speedway races and has done his thing on the short track. Well, Elliott taking the white flag en route to a record win here today. This is the Bill Elliott of old that we're seeing right now.
And that old really started at the beginning of this year. Prior to this year, just 4 Grand National wins, 1 2 years ago, 3 last year. Here he is around Phil Parsons into the back straightaway, and this Georgia congregation ready to greet him when he comes home. Remember tonight, you'll see him right here at 10:05 on the Superstation, and all the Elliott family. Everybody up around Dawsonville. Mama Reese, she has got to be right on the edge of her chair right now as Bill Elliott is about to become the first man to ever win 11 super speedway races in a year. Elliott has done it. He has won the Atlanta Journal 500. Cale Yarborough in second. Darrell Waltrip is third. Dale Earnhardt is fourth. Morgan Shepherd comes across in fifth. And the point story gets even tighter. We'll tell you more about that in a moment as, again, Elliott is back on the winning side of the ledger. It's been some time. The Southern 500, of course, was where he took that extra $1 million bonus from R.J. Reynolds. That's the last time he won. Now he's back in victory lane again. You'll meet him there in just a moment here on the Superstation, and you'll be with him in his battle with Darrell Waltrip at Riverside, California, when you're on the Superstation 2 weeks from today. And it has just started to really